Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Just a couple of weeks into the new legislative session, school choice hearings, veterans hearings, stop government overreach, all that stuff. Nick Strower explains Tuesday at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Patrick Hedger, Executive Director of the Taxpayer Protection Alliance Foundation.
The problem is that technology is just not ready for prime time yet. These electric cars don't work when it's cold out, so that whole, not rain nor sleet nor snow is going to stop us has just gone right out the window. Cold weather is going to stop the Postal Service and their electric trucks.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump.
I'm shaking my head.
I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it.
That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
So I want to hear what people are thinking and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Beverage and join me for the all-new Fox News Saturday Night with Jimmy Fallon.
Fox News Saturday Night with Jimmy Fallon. Saturdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. Only on the Fox News Channel. Saturdays just got a whole lot funnier. Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, January 16th. I'm Ted Lindner, and this is the Fox News Rundown. The Iowa caucuses wrapping up on Monday night. Former President Trump with a big victory. Fox's Jeff Manasso with more.
Former President Donald Trump smashed the record in Iowa as he secured over 50% of the vote Monday night in a statewide caucus turnout, despite ice-covered roads and sub-zero temperatures.
We're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. Yeah. Drill, baby, drill. We're going to seal up the border.
The border crisis and the economy top issues for voters here as the campaigns now move on to New Hampshire, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who put together a massive ground game visiting all 99 counties, an Iowa tradition, and helping him secure the race for second. In Des Moines, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Nikki Haley coming in third. Former President Trump, after the big win in Iowa, headed back to New York for this morning, an appearance in a courtroom for his second court case brought by columnist E. Jean Carroll. Fox's Gernal Scott has more on this.
Carroll has already sued former President Trump and won over damages his denial of sexually assaulting her in a Manhattan department store dressing room in 1995 did to her reputation. Carroll was ordered to be paid $5 million after that trial last year. The trial starting today will not retry that case. New York state law allowed Carroll to file this second suit, which claims the former president defamed her. Since the act of rape was established in the first trial, the Trump legal team cannot offer evidence against it in this trial. The jury will decide if there was defamation and how much money Carroll will get.
And Ukrainian President Zelensky addresses the annual mountaintop meeting of key global players this morning. Fox's Jonathan Savage explains why.
Senior figures like French President Emmanuel Macron and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken are at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. But it's world conflict that's dominating the event. As delegates discuss ways to end the war in Ukraine, Ukraine's president will weigh in with his terms, namely every Russian soldier gone and old borders restored. Ukraine's calling for China to use its influence on Moscow and convince Vladimir Putin to withdraw his troops. President Putin insists all these talks are futile because he's not being consulted. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
And I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com. Columbo and Katie.
Instead of polls and predictions, we finally get a look at what actual voters think on Tuesday. We'll unpack the results of the Iowa caucus and look forward to New Hampshire. Plus, we'll talk to Crane Durham at 2:20.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
Contact Seavers JCB now to take advantage of Section 179 of the IRS tax code that may entitle you to deduct the full price of qualifying equipment purchased or financed during 2023. Add to that JCB's incredible end-of-the-year financing opportunities, cash incentives, and rebates. There's never been a better time to own a JCB. Call Seavers JCB before year-end tax savings and financing offers expire, or visit online at seaversjcb.com.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For a free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Tuesday, the parallels between Jimmy Carter in January 1980 and Joe Biden 44 years later are spooky. Let's take a look. President Carter could not get inflation under control, and his energy policies led to long lines at the gas stations. That was appalling. Under President Biden, prices for essentials of life have risen 17%. Gallon of gas cost twice what it did. Iran taunted Jimmy Carter by holding 52 American hostages in Tehran for more than a year. Today, Iranian surrogates cause massive damage in the Middle East. Billy Carter, the president's brother, accepted $220,000 from Libya to lobby. That would be close to $1 million today. And we all know about Hunter Biden, who makes Billy look like a common pickpocket. The national media continued to support President Carter despite his dubious record because they loathed Ronald Reagan's conservative posture. In 2024, the press remained solidly in President Biden's camp. Reagan, of course, waxed Carter, leading to years of prosperity for the country. Jimmy was bitter when he left the White House, but history shows that the voters made the correct choice, sending him back to Georgia. The nation is now reliving 1980. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. CarShield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers. The snow has ended across the region, but do not overdrive these conditions. Plenty of slick spots out there as we begin the day in the single digits. Wind chills between 10 and 15 below zero. That said, sure is nice to see some sunshine. Wind chill warnings and advisories expire at noon today under a blue sky, but still cold. Our high only 16. Clear and frigid tonight, down to about 10 early Wednesday. We finally thaw a bit tomorrow afternoon, up to 38. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump.
I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it.
That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
So I want to hear what people are thinking and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
One state down, 49 more to go. Well, I mean, we know that there's going to be a nominee picked long before all 50 states have their caucuses or primaries, but Iowa's now in the books. All right, what do you make of those results last night? Got plenty of time to talk about that. Does it change your opinion of any of the campaigns at all? Or what do you make of it? Just let me go back to that basic question. What's your reaction to last night's votes? We got plenty of time to talk about that. I'm Mike Ferguson. Good morning. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your day. And speaking of politics, we can't forget what's happening at the state levels, both on Illinois and on the Missouri side. And in Missouri, we've got a couple of interesting things. First of all, that 3rd congressional district, well, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, the state senator, already tossed her hat into the ring for that one. but she's still got her day job, which is working as a lawmaker in Jefferson City. She was on the program with us on Monday to give us an update on both, and here's what she had to say.
Let me start with Jefferson City. Then I want to get to the congressional race as well, because you were the first one out of the gate jumping into that race.
I'm the only one.
Yeah,
nobody else has announced yet.
Oh, that's right.
Not officially, yeah.
We're at 10 days here, and nobody else has jumped in. I don't know. I guess they're talking to their moms.
All sorts of rumors, as we like to do in Missouri. A lot of those, but yeah, we'll churn through that a little bit. But okay, so Jefferson City, are we looking at same verse, just like the first this time around, with a lot of people agreeing on the overall goals, but between the personal and the political conflicts, some big things are at risk of not getting done. I mean, let's start with what we think we can get done this year, because I think in all the times you've been on this program over the last couple of years, Mary Elizabeth, that we've had, it seems like we could take one conversation, drop it in months later and the year later, because some of the dynamics just kind of continue in the legislature.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that the state legislature is in some ways a mirror of the state. Everybody locally sends people who are champions for the issues that they are, find the most important, and the kind of tone and tenor that they think is most important as well. So I don't think I've seen people as pessimistic as they are this year. It's at an all-time high. People are pretty concerned that there's not going to be a lot of progress that's made on the kinds of work that Missourians would like us to be working on. But I also think that sometimes what happens when that's the case is people use it as an excuse to not work. And so, as you mentioned, there's always stuff that's going to get done. And I think we're going to see people push forward on those kinds of issues. So last year, for example, was a historically unproductive session, but we were able to get a bill protecting women's sports, Senator Holly Rader's bill protecting women's sports. We were able to pass some legislation. It didn't go as far as everybody wanted, but it was enough that it put out of business all the gender clinics in the state, which is what we all wanted. Yeah, I think that it's possible that we'll see some progress on some issues. I'm not exactly sure yet which ones those will be.
Good morning, Mary Elizabeth. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So what are your priorities, your legislative priorities this session, and how do you think they're going to fare?
Yeah, so education reform is the thing that I care the most about. I think that when you look at what's happening across the state, you see the state really failing parents, and we need education freedom. We need moms and dads to be able to decide what is most important for their kids, for them to be able to send their kids to the school that works best for them. And interestingly, that's one of the very small items that we seem to have some agreement between the factions of the Republican Party in Jefferson City on. You have across the board people saying that they support that and that that's something they'd like to see done. So that's at the very, very top of my list and the thing that is the most important for me.
How big can that be? I mean, and I'm sensing the same thing that you are, just from an outsider's perspective here. I mean, is it a matter of we nibble around the edges and get a little bit more, or is it possible that something really bold like what's happened in New Mexico or what's happened in, South Dakota or in Iowa, in some of these states, is it possible that something big and bold can happen when it comes to education freedom?
Yeah, I'm not going to bet against ourselves. I think that it is possible that we could see something like what North Dakota has done. I think that the Arizona model, which was one of the very first states to go into a strong education freedom direction, seemed less likely last year. But because we have this broad agreement between all of the factions of the parties, I think it's more likely that we're going to get something substantive done. Will it be everything I want? No, that's often not the way the legislative process works. You have a negotiation. I won't say compromise, because I'm not compromising on anything that's vital to the state of Missouri and to our kids. But you do have negotiations. And so I think we'll get what we need to be able to move the ball forward significantly. I don't know that it's going to be a slam dunk, but I'm certainly working for that three-pointer.
Well, and what we're also looking at is a lot of people, Mary Elizabeth, are looking at the overwhelming Republican numbers and saying year after year after year, what's happening? Of course, I've been in media long enough. I've seen this in other states where Republicans have so much control that they do break off into factions. And I think that word you used is accurate to show that. And then it becomes as much relationship based as it is ideological. I mean, are there efforts to kind of mend those fences in the legislature so that we can get more small government, free market, conservative stuff actually done? Because if there's ever a state ripe to do that, it's Missouri.
Yeah, and I think what you'll see is there's a lot of different sub-caucuses that take place, particularly in the Senate. And what you'll see is I don't join those. One senator has more power in the Missouri State Senate than almost any other state Senate in the country. We have a standing filibuster. We have the time to do whatever we'd like to do. And I don't think that joining one group really helps advance things forward. I think that saying, you know what, I represent Jefferson County. I'm here for the people of the 22nd. That's what I'm focused on. And if it means that I'm going to work with, Curtis Trent from Springfield on one issue, or Nick Schroer from St. Charles on another, or Sandy Crawford, from Crawford County on another, then that's what I'm going to do to get it done for the state. And so I do, I'm an optimistic and a hopeful person, but I'm also a realist. And so maintaining good relationships across the board in the Senate, I think, is really vital for a senator to be able to maintain their ability to get things done for their constituents.
We are visiting with State Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman, and you just mentioned a minute ago, you've announced for your congressional campaign in the 3rd Congressional District, of course, Blaine Lukemeyer announcing that he's retiring at the end of this term. The first question is, what made you decide to toss your hat in the ring? And secondly, what is the tone you want to set? You're the first one in, so you're going to set a lot of the tone of the race with whoever else is going to get in that race. And we know you're going to have opponents. We just don't know who they're going to be.
Yeah, listen, I love my state and I love our country, and we need more unwavering conservatives who are going to step up and fight against the radical left who are, seeking to impose their socialist ideology on Missouri. I'm running for Congress because we've got to secure the southern border and put a stop to the endless flow of illegal immigration. We need to protect and defend human life. We need people who are going to stand up for our daughters and for the girls of our state by protecting women's sports. We need people who are going to get the economic prosperity that we had under President Trump back and wrestle it away from Biden economics, which has inflated the price of everything for Missouri families. So I'm running for Congress because I love our state. And I think that somebody who has the proven conservative credentials that I do, and the success record of being able to actually pass things and get things done for people is really important.
And this kind of follows what you were just saying, because we don't know who the candidates are. So it's not fair for me to say, well, what's going to make you different? Because we don't know who the other candidates are going to be. A lot of what you just said would probably be the platform I would think of just about any Republican in that race. It's a very heavily red Republican district right there. So when you're meeting with voters, you're talking with people, doing media interviews like this, what are the things that you're going to say, okay, here's what. And again, I can't say differentiate from your opponents because you don't have any yet at this point, but that you look to try to set yourself apart from whoever else it is you're going to be sharing the ballot with.
Yeah, listen, I'm a mom of 6, and I'm a pretty practical person. I think that when you are wanting to have something that is taken care of and what is something's done, you're going to look to people who've been able to do that in the past. I'm the architect of the Missouri Stands for the Unborn Act. We were able to end abortion access in the state of Missouri before the Dobbs decision. I think people forget about that, but Missouri had no abortions taking place in the state of Missouri before Dobbs came out. And Bridget Van Means, who you're going to have on the show in just a little bit at Thrive, talks about the Missouri Miracle. And that's because we had a group of legislators. I was one of the architects of it who was able to actually get that done. We'd had supermajorities before. We'd had people who'd been working on it. But I was able to, be a pencil in God's hand to get done the things that people think are really important. And I think that sense of humility, that sense of we're not there for ourselves. We're not there to grow our Twitter followers or X followers. We're not there to run to a bank of cameras. we're there to take care of the people that sent us there, and that the seat doesn't belong to you or to me. It belongs to all of us, and that we have to take our turn, serve people the best of our ability, and then come back home to the state that we love. And so I don't care who I'm running against. I think that that's immaterial. What I'm saying is I'm here to do the job. I'm here to do it to the best of my ability. I've got a track record that shows that I can, and I'd love to earn your support. And I think that message resonates with people.
Okay, one congressional question here. We've got a tenuous possible agreement between the Speaker, Mike Johnson, and Senate
My
Leader.
name is no. My sign is no. My number is no. You need to let it go.
That's right. And so the budget deal.
No, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? I mean, listen, we're going to let 5,000 immigrants come across the border undocumented. It's a slap in the face of people who've worked literally years to come into this country legally. When you look at people are going to be able to get a work permit immediately after breaking the law. Like, there's not any parameter of that deal that seems acceptable. Not one. I mean, absolutely not.
Yeah, and I think
the president has the authority to stop it now. What he has to do is enforce the border. I have said before that if I were the governor, I would offer the Texas governor access to our National Guard troops to help secure the border. I think it's really, really important that we recognize that the president could stop this right now if he chose to enforce the laws. We don't need a new deal. We need to enforce the deal that's on the books already.
All right, Mary Elizabeth, what's the website, social media, people want to check out your campaign?
If you just go to MaryElizabethColeman.com, it's got links to the rest of the social platforms. You can find me there.
Got that news roundup coming your way in just about 2 minutes and 29 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and thunder-stealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
Hello, my name's Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com. We're local and family owned. We buy houses in as-is condition direct from the seller. Last year, we bought over 75 houses, and the reason that matters to you, we're able to buy so many houses because we make such competitive offers. So if you're thinking about selling a house as is, please reach out. We're definitely interested in competing and providing you with the best offer and the best price. KLAMEN Group.com.
Staff Sergeant Mark Anthony Madrid.
Staff Sergeant Samantha Cowell.
I'm Staff Sergeant Alex
Staff Sergeant William Lewis, and I am proud to defend my family and our nation.
The Air Force Reserve is part of the story of this great nation.
I'm grateful that I have a chance to wear the uniform of the heroes that went before me.
I am proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference in the world.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as Reserve Citizen Airmen. Even as technology evolves and changes, our commitment to defend and protect this nation remains steadfast. We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving. We celebrate our proud history and look towards an exciting and uniting future. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
And I am proud to be a member.
And I'm proud to serve in the United States.
And I am proud to protect our country.
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, this is Mark McCloskey. Check out my show, Mark McCloskey on Fire, Sunday afternoon at 5 here on News Talk STL. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Donald Trump has a big night in Iowa, and the GOP field narrows again. And we have to talk about the media's stunning lack of ethics last night. I mean, absolute media malpractice. Regardless of who you support.
I want to say that's a shocker, but I guess
no,
it's not.
It's not. I mean, listen, I expect media to do a lousy job now. I don't expect a lot of ethics. Even I was stunned. I have spent my career in the media, and I think the media sucks. And I was stunned by their malpractice last night. Also, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin goes home after a couple weeks in... Wait, where was he? We lost track of him for a while.
I don't know.
Where was he? Okay.
He was AWOL.
Well, he's going back home now. So
okay, good for him.
And the Blues up and down season continues to be up and down. The Kim. All right, it is, looks like 5:51 right now. Got Estelle Ponticus here. I'm Mike Ferguson. All right, big night for Donald Trump last night. Here he is reacting after his Iowa caucus win.
I want to congratulate Ron and Nikki for having a good time together. We're all having a good time together. And I think they both actually did very well.
And we'll go over all of those results. I'm curious. I've already put the question out on Rumble. Was there anything that surprised you about that caucus and the results last night? We'll get to that here in just a little bit. The New Hampshire primary, by the way, is 1 week away. Now, I want to kind of remind everybody, this is one small state of 49 states. And so this is a long path. Now, everybody may bail out, sooner rather than later at some point. But remember that it's not over with the Iowa caucuses. And the New Hampshire primary, like I said, is 1 week away. Okay, so the race is now down to 3. Less than 48 hours after being trashed by Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy announces last night that he's ending his campaign and endorsing Donald Trump.
Okay.
I guess you get thrashed and then go kiss the ring or something like that. Ramaswamy got about 7.5% in the Iowa caucus vote and says he's now going to support Trump in the campaign. So I didn't think Ramaswamy was going to stick around real long in the campaign. I guess he probably, made his statement, made his points, and, now I guess he's going to move on to whatever's next for him.
I'm guessing he may somehow work his way into some sort of position in the Trump administration.
That could be. I
wouldn't be surprised.
Assuming Trump is elected, again, which still is not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. Trump also mentioned Doug Burgum. Was it last night or the day before?
They said hi to each other when Burgum endorsed him over the weekend in Iowa.
Yeah, and then Trump said something like, I want that guy part of my administration.
That'd be fine.
Yeah,
I like him a lot.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, well, that's a guy who could be an agriculture or like a commerce kind of guy. So, we'll see. Again, we got a long way to go. For those of you who are like MAGA folks and you're like, oh, we're going to get him elected. Guys, I don't think you realize the uphill lift you still have if Donald Trump is your candidate at this point. This is a long haul. So I'm trying to just tell everybody, cool your jets, and you need to look at the bigger, longer picture here.
Well, Yogi Berra said it ain't over till it's over.
That's right, especially in politics, especially in 2024 politics. Okay, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has been released from the hospital.
After spending 2 weeks at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to treat complications from prostate cancer surgery, the 70-year-old Austin is back home. Doctors say his prognosis is excellent and he will work from home as he recovers. The Pentagon chief caused a firestorm by failing to inform the White House about his hospitalization. President Biden said that was a lapse in judgment, but he still has confidence in Austin. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay.
Alrighty then. Just a little lapse in judgment.
Oh, yeah.
And so now you wonder how many other lapses in judgment have there been?
Many. Yeah. And I'm just talking about their policies. Okay, a little closer to home here. Pro-Hamas protesters say they're going to show up at tonight's St. Louis County Council meeting. The anti-Semitic activists are demanding a resolution from the county government that calls for an Israeli ceasefire as that nation continues to fight the terrorist group that started a war against them in October. Organizers say they are calling for the activists to, and I'm using their words here, pack the Council for Palestine and take up as much of the public comment time as possible. Tonight's meeting is at 6:30, I think it is 6 or 6:30 tonight over in Clayton. And so they got a resolution last Friday from the city council, although that also calls for a ceasefire with Hamas. The one thing that these two would have in common if they get one from the county council is that neither Hamas nor Israel gives a rip what St. Louis anything thinks about their thing. So what you really have these left-wing, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel bigots who want to take up all the public comment time, which is supposed to be for people to talk about stuff that's relevant to what the county government actually does, but they're planning to pack it. So if you got there early and took your time, because there's only a certain amount of time allotted, not everybody gets to speak if there's a lot of people. If you got there early and wanted to speak on something more germane to what's happening in the county government, they wouldn't have enough time.
Something a little more localized.
Yeah, just a bit, and a little more important as well. Okay, let's see here. The Blues, they ended their homestand, 4-game homestand, unfortunately with a loss. Final score at Enterprise Center last night was Philadelphia 4, St. Louis 2. The Blues are now off until Thursday when they travel to Washington to take on the Capitals. So they're going to play the Capitals in Washington on Thursday, and then they come back to Enterprise and play the Capitals here on Saturday as well. So you got kind of a home and away swap going on with the next two. The NHL's done that a few times with some of these schedules. They did that with the Golden Knights a little bit earlier today. So they'll get a look at the Flyers. Have they played the Flyers yet this year? I don't remember seeing them on the schedule yet.
Well, they're on they're in the Eastern Conference, one of those Eastern ones. So they'll only play the Flyers one more time in Philly in March, I believe.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because I didn't think I saw them a whole lot. All right, just ahead here, let's talk the Iowa caucuses. Did anything surprise you? Did you like it? Did you not like it? We're getting that conversation going just ahead.
Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening.
And it's happening a lot faster.
What matters most is...
the only question that matters here.
Are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need.
Here are the facts.
When you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Great news for my sponsor, Napoli Sea. And it's no surprise to me nor hundreds who have dined there. The first time I entered, it was clear Napoli Sea is unique. The decor, the fish, imaginative cocktails, and of course Napoli Sea is right next door to Napoli 3 in St. Charles. Napoli 2 is in Town and Country. The original Cafe Napoli is in Clayton, and I'm honored to endorse each of them. Visit any of the Cafe Napolis.
Missouri education officials must be bad poker players. They keep doubling down on the same bad bet. Public school students haven't been reading or doing math at their grade level for way too long. Last year, a horrifying 40% were regarded as not college or career ready after high school. Many states have adopted school choice. Iowa, Oklahoma, and Arkansas all provide money so families can choose the public or private school that works for them. And Kansas has one of the strongest public school choice programs in the nation. Nearly every family in Missouri is given exactly 2 choices for their children's education. They're assigned public school or learning online. That's it. Our neighbors trust their parents to choose the right school for their kids. Missouri doesn't, so enrollment is already shrinking. That will mean fewer high school graduates, college students, and workers. A bad bet indeed. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Former President Trump has scored a record-setting win in the Iowa GOP caucuses with his rivals languishing far behind.
This has been an incredible experience. The people have been, this is the third time we've won, but this is the biggest win.
And Mr. Trump's victory sends a resounding message that the GOP's 2024 presidential nomination appears to be his to lose. He was gracious toward his opponents.
I want to congratulate Ron and Nikki for having a good time together. We're all having a good time together. I think they both actually did very well.
Caucus voters endured life-threatening cold and dangerous driving conditions to meet in hundreds of schools, churches, and community centers across Iowa. Frigid temperatures and blistering winds continuing to put a damper on air travel around the country. FlightAware spokesperson Kathleen Bangs.
Trying to operate in those temperatures is just really difficult for ground crews, so it sort of slows everything down. It slows down your fueling, it slows down your bag loading, it slows down people getting to the airport.
Carriers canceled more than 2,100 flights yesterday. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has been released from Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. More on that from correspondent Ed Donahue.
Austin has been in the hospital for 2 weeks to treat complications from prostate cancer surgery. In a statement, the Pentagon says the cancer was treated early and his prognosis is excellent. This was all kept secret from senior Biden administration officials for weeks. A few days ago, President Biden was asked if he still has confidence in Austin.
I do.
The president answered yes when asked if it was a lapse in judgment. A review is underway. While Austin was at Walter Reed, the U.S. launched a series of military strikes late last week on the Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen. Austin will be working from home as he recovers. Ed Donahue, Washington.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers. The snow has ended across the region, but do not overdrive these conditions. Plenty of slick spots out there as we begin the day in the single digits. Wind chills between 10 and 15 below zero. That said, sure is nice to see some sunshine. Wind chill warnings and advisories expire at noon today under a blue sky, but still cold. Our high only 16. Clear and frigid tonight, down to about 10 early Wednesday. We finally thaw a bit tomorrow afternoon, up to 38. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news.
With the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
I'm the world's heavyweight wrestling champion.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I'm Batman.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
I want to be clear, I'm not going nuts.
No.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your curtain call. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Oh, hi there.
We're back. Gabe and I are over there shooting the stuff over in the coffee machine over there. All right. We're going to go in depth into the Iowa caucus results of 620. We're already getting folks commenting on Rumble on this. Interesting perspective. We got two completely different perspectives already being commented on. We're going to start with a quick overview here, go into more depth at 620. Okay. So, but first question is, what's the reaction that you have? I want to start there in just a moment. It is 6:06. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here as well. Okay, so here are the basics. Let me go in the basics. Like I said, we'll do a little more in depth here in just a couple of minutes, right around 6:20. 314-912-1019. As you've heard, obviously, Donald Trump had a big night. He got just a hair over 50% of the votes. So about 51% of the votes. And Gabe, I told you wrong on the delegate count a second ago, so I'll get to that in just a second here. Sure. Because remember what this is that when you've got a caucus, Iowa is not a winner-take-all state. So Donald Trump won all but one of the counties. So, he won across the board. Mm-hmm. Ron DeSantis coming in second place, a couple percentage points ahead of Nikki Haley. Vivek Ramaswamy was not a factor at all. And as we'll get to in a little bit here, he suspended his campaign, so he's dropping out. There were a couple funny notes that I'll tell you at 6:20 as far as you go down the list of the people who were on the ballot there.
Oh, I did. I did see some of those. I was like, who? Who is this?
He's still in it? Really?
Yeah.
And there was a name I didn't recognize at all.
That's what Stella and I were talking about earlier. There is somebody that nobody's ever heard of who got 3 times the votes as Asa Hutchinson on there. So let's go over this. Basically, I want to keep everybody in mind because now regardless of who you support, if you're a Nikki Haley supporter, you're a Ron DeSantis supporter, you're a Donald Trump supporter, and that's really all that's left at this point.
Yeah.
So regardless of who you support, we've got a broken media system here.
Yes.
In that they're declaring, and the political class are saying, well, it's all over now, done. I mean, of course, they were saying that before the first votes were cast. And remember, this is not the end. This is one of 50 states, and it's a small state at that.
This is a process, and it's supposed to be, a several months process.
Right. Now, it's not going to be several months.
Yeah.
I think eventually there's going to be attrition, and we're going to have somebody. But what's interesting is the last time that the Iowa caucus accurately predicted the Republican nominee, so the person who won the Iowa caucus ended up being the nominee. You may want to guess what year that was?
1864.
that Abraham Lincoln. Yeah.
Man.
Anybody want to guess?
I'm thinking Reagan.
No, it's more recent than that.
More recent than that. Okay.
2008?
Not quite that recent. 2000.
2000. Bush.
George W. Bush.
W.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, in this case, it's very possible.
It was right in between us still, by
the way. So what I'm saying is that the race doesn't end here. So now
Right.
you've got New Hampshire, now you've got South Carolina, and we'll get into that here in just a few minutes here. But when you look at the delegate count, so it's not that one person won the state and they win all of the electoral college votes. It's not like the general election.
Right.
Donald Trump got his first 20 delegates.
Okay, he got a full 20.
20.
Okay.
Ron DeSantis got 8. Nikki Haley got 7. So Donald Trump is 12 delegates ahead of Ron DeSantis right now.
Right.
So
Okay.
when you look at it like that, you're going to say, oh, I guess it's not over. I guess it is just beginning.
Yeah.
Just Donald Trump's out of the gate a little bit faster. Okay, so we'll go into more depth on that. Some comments here on 314-912-1019. Let's see here. Rebecca had a couple things to say. How much Democratic support Nikki Haley has. Oh, by the way, she's awful.
By the way.
I think, Rebecca, I think you were reading Stell's mind a little bit ago.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, Blues Nut, who he says people are fed up with Biden and want Trump back. Rebecca also mentioned, she says this, and Rebecca's not alone in this. I think there's a lot of people who are thinking what Rebecca said. They're just not saying it out loud. She says, for the first time since I've been able to vote, I am considering not voting at all. I voted for Trump twice, and I am done. He is a joke. He is not for me, but only for himself. I am for DeSantis. Okay.
All right.
I think there are, it's not a majority by any means, but I think there are other people who probably just are nodding their head right now going, yeah, I get it. So I think there are some out there like that. So we'll see how this shakes out here. Let's see here. But yeah, so we're going to get to more of those comments still ahead. So any surprises, guys?
I was surprised at the level of Trump's win to last night. Because I was ahead of this. I was predicting not quite as big a win as what he was suggesting. So everyone was talking like, okay, 30-point win or something like that. And I was thinking, okay, he'll probably do 40s. He'll probably do in the 40s.
You mean his percentage?
His percentage. His percentage. Of the vote take. So yeah, so he beat that by a good 8-9 points to me. So that also puts into question my skepticism of the current poll situation, because the polls were actually pretty close this time.
Well, but they were saying at one point a 50-point.
Well, it depends on which poll you're talking
and
about.
And there were other polls that said DeSantis was within striking distance, and there was another one that said Haley could win. And I thought, well, that's stupid.
That's true. That's true. I guess what I'm suggesting is the Iowa straw poll, I think, and I can't remember which one it was. It was basically the last one they took. Those numbers are pretty reflective of what it actually turned out to be.
The Des Moines Register.
I think it's
poll,
Des Moines
maybe?
Register because I think they were going specifically with likely caucus goers and things like that.
And that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so let me talk about this media malpractice, this media irresponsibility. And don't get mad at me if you're a Trump supporter, because you should be, if anything, Trump supporters should be sympathetic to this. So I obviously go to bed very early compared to most people, and I'm thinking, okay, polls, the caucuses start at 7. Usually the voting starts around 7:30, 7:45, 8 o'clock. Some they just start voting.
And they have multiple rounds.
Yeah. And
right?
so I thought, I'm just going to go to bed. I'll wake up in the morning. I'll find out who won.
Right.
I'll get the sound bites, that sort of thing. And then at 7:25, I start seeing Fox News declares, NBC News declares, USA declare. They were declaring the winner. And I'm thinking, I was sitting there at the dinner table with my wife, and I said, they're already calling the Iowa. I said, they just started voting not even a half hour ago.
I was getting flashbacks to Fox calling Arizona.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's it. That's it.
Exactly.
Nail on the head.
It bugged me too.
Exactly. And that's why I say, even if you are a Trump, because you're a Trump guy, right? Yeah. So even if you're a Trump supporter, I would think you would say, whoa.
I did say whoa.
A lot of people didn't, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And
I was in the kitchen going, whoa.
Right.
Hold on. You're
and
right.
then we find out within about 30 minutes or so, some precincts and counties hadn't even begun voting yet. and the alerts are going out, so everybody's there in, they spend time, 25-degree weather to get to the caucuses, and then they find out, well, it's all over and I haven't even voted. And then we find out the majority of the precincts and counties had not even begun voting by the time that all the networks were declaring it over at that point. So did that affect the final results? No, but could it have affected a delegate here or there and some percentages?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. It could have affected that. Not to mention, it is so unethical. It is so irresponsible. And I'm talking to Fox News as well. I'm talking about the conservative media. I'm talking about the liberal media. I am saying it is as absolutely irresponsible. It is absolutely unethical to do that while people are still voting.
And it really peeved me to hear with 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
with
the voting
1% precincts
and you're already declaring a winner? You got to be kidding.
And those were entrance polls. That's like, hey, who are you going to vote for?
Man.
So they weren't even counting actual exit polls because nobody exited yet.
Not even to go to the bathroom.
No, basically what you had was the media just, they got into a race to be first. And they're like, well, we know who's going to win. And it was media arrogance, including by Fox, including by Town Hall, including by our friends who did the exact same thing. So, like I said, I don't think it would have changed the results, as far as who won in first place and second place. But I think it changed some percentages on it because,
this is not a winner-take-all state.
There had to be places, around the state. Again, remember this winter storm that they're dealing with. It's worse than what we've got right now. So there were people who are like, it's over? Well, okay, fine, I'm out.
Right.
And when you look at this relatively small, it was a pretty low turnout caucus, one of the lowest turnouts in 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the weather.
Because of the weather,
I mean,
yeah.
because people couldn't get to it. And so that has an outsized for it. So I'm not complaining that Donald Trump won or Ron DeSantis was in second or Vivek Ramaswamy was an afterthought. I'm saying that it doesn't matter who won or lost. The media's behavior was reprehensible last night.
You would have thought they could have waited until maybe 8 p.m. or 8:30.
Give it an hour, guys.
And that way, if there was some sort of shift, they could have said, well, we waited. Everybody else jumped on board right away. We tried to take the smart move and just sit back and see what happens over the next hour.
I've been back when I was a journalist. I'm not now anymore, but I was first a couple times on breaking news stories, but nobody ever remembers what you're first on.
Nobody cares.
But boy, they remember when you're wrong.
Yes.
And that's the risk that still these thick-skulled media types are demanding and insisting, well, they've already declared we got to go do it. No, you don't.
Yeah, this whole situation is, like you said, Mike, it kind of reminds us how bad our media is, the media landscape right now, because, again, they are making themselves the story by doing these kinds of things.
Yeah.
I want to be first, and therefore Fox News reporting or what have you, now that becomes the story, is they were the ones to first report who secured the vote. But it feels as though that stuff can rise to the level of election interference because you are necessarily tainting the process,
right?
By the news that's coming out because news is so fast. I mean, look. If we're back in the day and we're waiting on the printing press and people are standing there with pencils waiting to take notes, all of this stuff moves at the speed of molasses, and you can kind of get there from here. And it's not the big, the first one to run downtown to get the headline on the printing press.
Hey, Dewey beats Truman.
Stop the presses. Okay, that whatever. That isn't going to affect the people who might still be in the room.
Right.
But these days, with everybody who has the news and news alerts in their pocket, you can actually affect the vote by your reporting. And I think there's a certain level of responsibility that the media needs to take now more than ever in that regard.
Because so far, no media is going, ooh, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. I actually saw townhall.com. I mean, one of the most conservative news. Matt Vespa writes an article saying bipartisan whining about calling the races early. And his whole thing was basically, well, we knew, so it's no big deal.
Wow, really?
And that's the conservative media.
That
doing
is
this.
not good.
So on this case right now, conservative media was no better than anybody else at all.
Yeah.
All right, 314-912-1019. Want to go in a little more depth on the actual results of
Okay,
the
yeah.
campaigns
We'll talk about the
as well. But I had to get
politics
that
of
off
it.
my chest. I mean,
It's important.
It is. Because what happens if this happens in New Hampshire, South Carolina, Super Tuesday, everybody's rushing to call races, and there are states where it's going to be closer than this.
Mm-hmm.
New Hampshire is going to be closer than this.
And if and when they do it during the general, if you haven't been complaining now, you're not going to have a leg to stand on complaining about in the future. So look, don't let them prime you to do this.
Exactly. All right, 314-912-1019. I'm watching the Rumble chat box for comments. Gabe and Stell are watching all the other ones as well. Let's talk about this just ahead. Man, you're looking good today, Gabe.
Oh, yeah, you too, buddy.
Fashionable guy.
Yeah, look at that.
It would have been nice if you sent me an email.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Stell.
Gabe walks in. We're wearing the same sweatshirt. I'm like, dude, they're not going to be able to tell us apart.
I know, right? We're doing the Spider-Man meme over here.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Tim Jones here to tell you it's officially landscape lighting season at Pro Outdoor. To see some of their incredible lighting work, visit their website, prooutdoor.com. They offer low voltage landscape lighting that really makes your home stand out from your neighbors. If you're looking for accent lighting, path lighting, or wanting to expand your outdoor living space, or just looking for a little more security around your home, the team at Pro Outdoor are the ones to call. Pro Outdoor can take care of all your outdoor needs, including lawn fertilization, irrigation installation and service, as well as landscape lighting. They're offering some great end-of-year specials. Be sure to call them today. Schedule a consultation. That's prooutdoor.com.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? A man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $110 per month. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, there are great rates available for you as well. Call Term Busters for a quote. 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, call Term Busters. 1-800-908-7636. Sample rate for preferred non-tobacco rate class. Exam required to qualify.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
You know what's weird about this song now?
What?
If you're young enough, you remember that intro from Shrek.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Like when all the critters and the characters were rushing in on the, as opposed to, you know, the actual Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, you're right.
As opposed to me back in high school.
Right, exactly. Oh, jeez. All right. Okay, were you surprised by anything that happened in Iowa last night? We're going to do a more in-depth review here in a minute. Also, how steady is the economy right now? We've got the update on that at 6:35 because some numbers are definitely going the right. There's no question the economy has improved, but it feels like we could be kind of at a plateau a little bit. Inflation kind of flirting with moving up a little bit more, but still there are good signs and there are things we have to go, I'm not sure yet.
And some of these underlying numbers, I don't know. They feel a little weird to me.
Yeah. So we'll talk to Ryan Young from Competitive Enterprise Institute about that here in a minute. Okay, it's 6:23 right now. All right, Donald Trump wins big in the Iowa caucuses last night. He got 51% of the vote. Now, the important thing here is the number of delegates that you get for that nomination. He got 20. Ron DeSantis got 8. Nikki Haley got 7. Vivek Ramaswamy, who now is no longer running, he got 3. And so you had Ron DeSantis in second place with 21 point some odd percent. Nikki Haley, 19%. If there's anything that surprises me, it's that she was at 19%.
Yeah,
But,
same.
you know.
But of course, there are some interesting reports about changed registrations on some delegates. So she's getting some support from areas I think don't bode well for a Republican primary.
The other side of the aisle.
The other side of the aisle.
Yeah, which is legal.
Yeah, you can do it.
Ethically dubious, but legal. You know. Okay. Also, Vivek Ramaswamy, 7.6%. So he was basically an afterthought in this. Okay, let me get to the funny part here. We've joked about why is Asa Hutchinson running?
Right.
Still, I mean, why? Now, I think he should have been in the debates. I mean, he is frankly a recent governor who was term limited out, so I think he should have been in the debates. In the entire state of Iowa. As of the time when 98.9% of the precincts were reporting, he received 191 votes statewide.
Oh, wow.
191 votes statewide. There is some guy named Ryan Binkley that I've never heard of in my life who got 774 votes.
Yeah.
So this guy that I've never heard of, maybe he's got a lot of cousins in Iowa. I don't know. But he got 3 times the number of votes that Asa Hutchinson got, who's a former governor and was campaigning around the country and getting national attention media-wise.
I got to be honest with you. I was familiar with Binkley because I had seen him speak twice.
Oh, okay.
Very well spoken guy. Runs an equity fund in Richardson, Texas, outside Dallas, and is a pastor there of a church in the Dallas area.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Well, I now know.
I didn't realize he had a campaign. I guess that's the thing. I didn't know he was running.
I now know more about, I know 100% more about Ryan Binkley than I knew 2 minutes ago.
And I have to say, Binkley as president sounds kind of
It does.
odd.
That's an odd
President Binkley.
pronunciation.
President Binkley.
35 people in Iowa voted for Chris Christie anyway.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, guys, really?
Yeah.
So it's like,
okay.
He dropped out, right?
All right, so let's go around the campaign rallies here. Let's start with Donald Trump since he was the winner.
We're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. Drill, baby, drill. We're going to seal up the border.
So it was pretty standard Trump rally.
Yeah.
You know, obviously in this case, it was a victory rally. Ron DeSantis making it clear he is moving on to New Hampshire and South Carolina. He is not ending the campaign after one state.
We represent a chance to reverse the madness that we've seen in this country, to reverse the decline of this country, and to give this country a new birth of freedom and a restoration of sanity. That's what we are going to do.
All right, so the next round's coming up here. Nikki Haley, get this one, guys. I'm just going to play the soundbite, then just give me your gut reaction here to it.
I can safely say tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
So she's back in DeSantis now because she came in third.
Maybe she's bad at math.
Yeah, seriously, what's going on with that one? But by the way, I did want to mention that MSNBC and I think also CNN threw a little tantrum. They wouldn't show Trump's victory speech.
Yeah, well, CNN showed some of it, then cut it off.
Yeah, they cut it off
before he got to the meaty stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, MSNBC, I was watching, so I thought about just grabbing some of the clips of like Rachel Maddow just having a meltdown. Joy Reid.
Oh, Reid, I'm sorry.
You know what she said? She said
it's racism.
Yeah, she goes, well, this is a state that has 61% white evangelicals, and that's overrepresented by these white evangelicals. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you know, that the whole evangelical Trump thing, I've got many, many questions about that, but that's a discussion for another day. But it was all these white evangelicals, this white. I'm like, have you ever been to Iowa?
It's like, yes.
It's not just 61%. It's much higher than that, you know. But it was like white evangelicals.
It's like, well, yes, because they live there. That's how representation works.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's why we have an electoral college.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. All right, and then real quick here's Vivek Ramaswamy making his concession speech.
Earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him that I congratulated him on his victory, and now going forward, he will have my full endorsement.
Okay, so Ramaswamy made his point, the things he wanted to say. I think what he added as far as getting people to think in terms of the administrative state was an excellent addition to the campaign. He got a little weird there at the end on some other stuff. But it looks to me like Ramaswamy, and this is what I suspected, he was not in it to win it. He was in it to shape the conversation. He was in it to have an impact, and now he's done that, and he's out. And so how much he's going to be involved with Donald Trump's campaign, I don't know, but I guess that Candace Owens campaiging with him didn't really help him that much.
No, I didn't expect it to. I thought that was a weird turn of events.
I saw when Candace Owens I'm going to campaign with Vivek Ramaswamy, and I'm like, you're about to find out you don't have the weight and influence you think you do.
But yeah, I do appreciate what he brought to the conversation, and we talked about that really early on. It's like, hey, this Vivek guy, I don't know anything about him, but what he's saying here, and here, those are pretty good points. He's bringing up some very important things. Talking about how young people are despondent and they're directionless, and how we need to kind of revitalize that aspect of it. Now, granted, that's not going to come through politics. That's not going to come through policy. But I'm glad he talked about it. So that, in addition to some of his other kind of interesting ideas, I think it added a lot to the conversation. He made us think a little bit. I think he put a bug in the ear of the older constituency in the Republican Party so that they could listen to some of the younger Republicans, because that's kind of the demographic he represented. He was like a different generation of Republican. Okay, so bringing their voices into the conversation, I think, was a good thing.
I agree with Gabe.
There you go. The theme of the show.
The theme of the
yeah. Because I've been on board with Vivek since day one. To be honest with you, you guys know that.
You knew about him, and I had to get caught up on him because
same.
I'm like, I've heard the name because he's written a couple things in like Forbes and whatnot, but I didn't know really anything about him. And I'm like, who is this guy? And so you had to fill me in.
When that first book came out,
right? Yeah, you were more familiar with him than I was. So I guarantee you his next book's going to sell well.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. His speaking fees went up.
Now, former presidential candidate.
Right.
Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah, exactly. So that's it. I mean, it kind of proceeded as expected, though, too.
You remember early on when he talked about eliminating the Department of Education.
Yes.
And I gave him a big, as much of a round of applause as I could, because he actually forced the other candidates to take a stand on it.
Yes.
And so that was some of the things, especially when he was talking about the administrative state. He did it in a way that made people understand what it is. And it is a massive threat to our liberties. And it is a massive inefficiency. And it is a threat to our wallet. So he was right about all that. He is right. Not to say is right about all of that. So I'm glad he put that on the table. Now, whether or not it just gets washed away with all of the mainstream media from here, we'll see. But he put it on there, and people understand that now, whereas they didn't before. And then, like I said, he got goofy on some other stuff later. But it is what it
his
is.
suggestion of doing basically a blanket cut, like a percentage cut of the employees of the administrative state, I think is a really good idea, because one of the things that they'd always kind of talked about is like, well, it's really actually pretty difficult for a president to dismantle the administrative state because of X, Y, and Z thingy and all. Like there were a lot of excuses, but he said, hey, yeah, I mean, it's tough to get rid of federal employees, but not if you do it as a percentage, as a actual layoff, as opposed to individual firings. He's like, hey, the mandate is I got to lay off 50% of you guys. So now you get to pick.
Yeah.
So, hey, why not do that?
You can pick any way you want. Arm wrestling contest. You can do Jeopardy. You can have Twister. I mean, whatever it is you want.
So the excuses have been diminished for all that. So I'm glad for that.
Okay. And he's a very young guy, so he's got a very bright future in my estimation.
Yeah, he's 38,
I believe.
Yeah, he's really young.
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. 314-912-1019. Just ahead, let's go ahead and get an update on what's happening with the economy right now, because the numbers can be really confusing for a lot of people. We know things are better. So how permanent, how stable are they? Plenty of time to get your thoughts in on what happened with Iowa last night and what's ahead in New Hampshire, because you've got a whole different voting block in New England and then South Carolina. We'll see what happens there as well. So plenty of time to get your thoughts in on that right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Tuesday at 4:25. We'll speak with Dave Stokes about property taxes rising, but not for all of us. And at 5:25, Hugh Fike from the Conservative Partnership Institute.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers. The snow has ended across the region, but do not overdrive these conditions. Plenty of slick spots out there as we begin the day in the single digits. Wind chills between 10 and 15 below zero. That said, sure is nice to see some sunshine. Wind chill warnings and advisories expire at noon today under a blue sky, but still cold. Our high only 16. Clear and frigid tonight, down to about 10 early Wednesday. We finally thaw a bit tomorrow afternoon, up to 38. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
It may be cold outside, but one of the best ways to warm up this winter is with a visit to Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge, Missouri. Located 10 minutes from 270 in Gravois, Johnny's is the go-to St. Louis sports bar and grill experience featuring over 30 big TVs, full bar, excellent, awesome food featuring the famous Johnny Dow's chicken wings, live music with local musicians, and a huge game room. Johnny's Hideout opens 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. Check out the Speaker of the House table on your next visit. More information, jhideout.com. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist, and I'm a Zionist.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hamas is expanding its scope and it wants to attack Jewish entities in Europe.
101.9 and 94.1.
It's coming to a theater near you.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, is the overall economy still improving, or are we just kind of stalling out just a little? Because, you know, economies go up, they go down, they stagnate. Where are we right now? It's been a really confusing, last 6-8 months or so as we try to recover here. By the way, News Talk STL's social media. Okay, great way to get your opinions on the air, because I am keeping a close eye on Rumble chat box, chatting with Rebecca and Blues Nut. Both have a lot to say today, which is fantastic. Everybody else, get in there, or we'd love to talk to you as well. 314-912-1019. Gabe, you got an eye on Facebook
and Twitter,
as well, and you've got those in
Ditto
YouTube as well. Okay, all right.
Got the aggregate.
So, what's the situation with the economy right now? Every time numbers come out, everybody looks at that and says, "Well, that tells the story," but it tells part of the story. Yeah. I think is fair. The inflation report. The last that we have is for December 2023. So inflation went up a little bit. It's still a lower rate than what we've had over the past couple of years, but it went up a little bit, but still better than before. But that doesn't mean that the prices are going down.
Right.
That just means the rate of inflation is not as high as it was before. I'm now joined by Ryan Young from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. And Ryan, December 2023, those numbers, slight little uptick in inflation. Of course, you add that on to the other inflation. Prices are still more expensive, but is the fact that the inflation isn't going up as fast anything we can read into as far as where we are right now in the economy?
Yeah, in fact, when you look closer at the numbers, most of it's due to housing price increases. When you talk about overall monetary inflation, that was actually down to about 1.8%. The target's 2%, so that's actually in surprisingly good shape considering everything else that's going on. Housing prices are in part due to rising mortgage payments. The Fed's been raising interest rates most of the last year and a half or so until recently. And that's part of just, I call it an unavoidable inflation tax. When the government debases the currency, which they've done by almost 20% so far since COVID, you're going to see those kinds of effects. The Fed's more or less doing the right thing now. Things are much better, but we're still seeing some of those hangover effects. And right now, that's mostly in housing.
Morning, Ryan. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So we know how inflation affects the cost of the things that we're purchasing. So that's our expenses. So on the other side, we've got our income. How are wages doing right now? Are wages starting to come back so that we can keep up with this inflation?
Yes, for about the last, call it 6 months or so, wages have finally started to outpace inflation. And that's one of the worst parts of an unexpected inflation like we had. Because, the prices at the grocery store and the gas station, they can change every morning. Whereas if you get a raise at work, that's maybe a once-a-year thing. So wages do have a much harder time keeping up with inflation. And finally, we're at the point where that's happening. So real wages are increasing again.
We're visiting with Ryan Young from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Another report that came out here, the BLS employment report, and I think the employment report's a really important one as well. Do we have a discrepancy when it comes to the number of people in the workforce, the number of full-time or full-time equivalent workers? Because I'm seeing one report that says full-time jobs relative to the population dropped. So fewer people are full-time in the workforce who would otherwise be in there. And so is that something that we can look at as maybe a glitch? Let's see how it goes. Or is there some other economic pressure we need to be aware of?
That's a good question. I think the labor force participation rate is actually more important than the overall unemployment rate. We've had almost 2 years now of unemployment below 4%. By anyone's measure, that's full employment, and that's one reason why we've seen jobs growth slowing down in the last few months. Because when you look at it like that, there's only so much more to do. It's basically keeping up with population growth. But that labor force participation growth, how many working age people are actually working, that's back finally to where it was before the pandemic. We're in that same range from, say, 2014 to 2018. But there's also been a long run decline. It's a little below 63% right now. Say 20, 30 years ago, that number was closer to 68, to 69, 70%. So there's some kind of long-term decline there in working age people actually working. So we're wondering, is that people living off of savings? Is that because of a too generous welfare state? What else might be going on here? Are there problems in the education system? So things could be worse, but they could be better too.
Ryan, I'm always looking for the policy aspects of these that are indicators of which way the economy is going to move. So how much of what we've been seeing recently are due to policies, and how much is just kind of the natural fluctuations of an economy that just it needs to be someplace so people can live?
It's nearly all policy. The big inflation that we saw and that we're still seeing hangover effects from, that's from COVID. The Fed panicked and they grew the money supply by $5 trillion. And the rule of thumb is when you print a bunch of money, you're going to get inflation. What do you think is going to happen? And then Congress and Presidents Trump and Biden piled on with another $5 trillion of spending. The Fed and the Treasury Department have to help finance that. No wonder we had inflation that topped out over 9%. So the Fed's been more or less doing the right thing for the last year and a half. And that's why things are at, inflation's at 3.4 instead of at 9%. But if there's a sign of trouble in the economy, markets and most people think, well, they're just going to cave and go back into stimulus mode, and we're going to see more inflation, and it'll see the same kind of vicious cycle we saw in the 60s and 70s. We have to avoid that from happening. So this inflation isn't natural; it's all policy.
So we're settling into a sort of natural equilibrium coming off of that interference.
Yeah, the actual money supply growth, which is the root cause here, That's actually right down to about the target levels now, but that's not guaranteed to stay that way. If you listen to Fed Chairman Powell, he's always talking about expectations and confidence and staying the course on inflation. The reason he does that is because people think the Fed doesn't have. They
lost
worry
you.
about
There you are.
going
There you
back
are.
in stimulus mode.
We lost you there just for a second, Ryan. If you want
Sorry
to
about that. How am I now?
Yeah, if you want to complete your last sentence
He
there.
said people think.
People think the Fed has lost credibility based on how poorly they've handled it, and they're trying to get that back and maintain that so people have confidence that the Fed will stay the course on inflation and try to keep it low.
Okay. Hey, good morning. Stal Ponticus here. And on a personal level, I think credit card debt is at its highest ever. Is that true?
I don't know.
For families? Okay. The reason I'm asking is that I'm hearing lately over the last few months that a lot of individuals and families are now using buy now, pay later plans, which is essentially putting them into even more debt. So that kind of concerned me. I was wondering if you would be concerned about something like that type of trend coming online.
Well, that depends on what the alternatives are. Interest rates across the board are going up. Mortgage payments are going up. Car payments are going up. Other loans are going up. So if those credit card and those buy now, pay later schemes actually look better than, say, something else, that might be a good thing. But, yeah, it's not ideal. I think it's an artifact of high interest rates in general.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ryan Young from Competitive Enterprise Institute. Ryan, we've already tagged you on our social media, but I encourage people to follow your work at CEI. What's the way to be in touch?
The website is cei.org, and the Twitter handle is cei.org, spelled out DOTORG.
All right. Hey, Ryan, good to talk to you again. Thanks so much for the update.
Thanks, Ryan.
Hey, thank you.
All right, 314-912-1019. By the way, we're getting reports now that crashes are happening all over the St. Louis area.
Yeah.
There are several roads that are being closed right now. Looks like we've got an accident, I-70 East, just past Hanley Road. 2 left lanes are closed as of a few minutes ago. Westbound I-70 right before Grand, so downtown area. 3 left lanes are closed. So in that area, that means that 1 lane would be getting through, if I'm remembering that one correctly. So we've just got a lot. 55 north at Broadway, closed, wrecked there. 270 north at Ladue. 44 east at I-64. So that's a really big intersection right there. And a 3-vehicle crash on 55 north just past Merrimack Bottom Road. That's got a lane closed out there. So bottom line is it's slippery.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful.
Yeah.
It's going to remain that way throughout the day, probably at least until midday tomorrow. Double check your kids' school and stuff because it may be closed. All right, just ahead, you ever walk into somebody's house and see something that makes you just kind of judge them a little bit?
I judge everybody all the time. So yes. Yes, absolutely.
I want to know what your red flags are, Gabe.
All right.
And then I'll remodel inside my house. That's just ahead here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, have you ever stopped by somebody's house just to visit or maybe drop something off, and something in the home either gave you the creeps or just made you want to keep an eye on them or at least judge them a little?
Yes. Sometimes it's a positive judgment, though.
Okay.
Like, sometimes it's a good thing.
Okay, so the interwebs did that wonderful thing where they just asked the question. BuzzFeed and Reddit both had something very similar. So I've got a list of some of the things people say are kind of the red flags when you go visit.
Okay.
By the way, what are your red flags as well? We are going to go back to talking about the Iowa caucus here in just a little bit here. We're going to break down the results of the Iowa caucuses at 7:05 with Red State's Susie Moore. She joins us to talk about what happened, but also what's next as well. All right, so I'm watching, again, the social media. I'm watching Rumble here. You guys are watching the other. What are some of the red flags that you see on this? Because there was a couple of these. I went, yeah. I can see that. So, like, what would jump out at you that you go to somebody's house for the first time or apartment or whatever, and you see something, and you're like, what the heck? And you're going to side-eye that person a little bit.
Now, technically, this isn't like me going over a friend's house or anything like that. It comes from my experience as a landlord. And the thing is, If I come to your house my house, because you've called me out to do some sort of maintenance, and you have not paid your rent in
I've heard this
in
story.
like 2 or 3 months, and your electronic equipment is better than mine.
Yeah.
I'm judging you.
Yes, as you should.
As I should.
Okay, so the number one thing here, and I actually number one and number two, I would say, that jumps out at me is if people are at somebody's house and they see pets not being cared for properly.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Or pets acting like they're not pets. So
Yeah.
basically, the pets acting like you have a feral animal because they're not cared for.
They're
For
behaving
instance,
weirdly, or
yeah, the number
too skinny.
Well, yeah, that or just behaving weirdly. Like number one, though, they say one of the telltale signs that you might be in somebody's weird place is like if the litter box is not clean.
Oh gosh. Oh, if you can walk in the house and you smell the cat,
like that ammonia smell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're exactly right.
But it's not even just that's gross. It's what's wrong with this person.
Yes.
Okay. And another one, like with the cats, like for instance, I don't know about your cats, but our cat, Rosie, if there's a stranger, she runs and hides, and then she watches you from a distance. And then she'll decide whether you're okay, and then eventually she'll come back out.
Right.
But then she'll probably like stay behind my feet.
Right.
So she's not feral, but she's shy.
Yes. I
And
mean,
then every once in a while, some stranger will come in and she'll run right up to him.
yeah, you have the super friendly cats too, who
Yeah.
are just they think everybody is a pillow.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's that also. But yeah, when the cat though is scared of
Everything and
like everything is doesn't like loud noises, and it's just it's like hi. Well, yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
I got to admit, I haven't met very many super friendly cats.
I know. My
and I like cats. But
My mom's cat is you are that cat's best friend until you prove otherwise.
That's good.
That's the way that cat is.
It happens.
You have to earn Rosie's affection. I don't. Have you've seen Rosie? But
Yeah.
Rosie's like you've been over the house a bunch of times. and
Yeah,
you've
but
never-
the thing is, I'm usually over there with a whole bunch of other people.
That's
so
true,
so
that's
she's
true.
just like, oh, this is too much.
Yeah. How about this one? No hand soap in the bathroom.
Yeah. What the heck? See, you're going to remind me of trips I've taken to certain people's houses. That's what's going to happen.
Even if
throughout
it's a
this
little bar
segment.
soap.
If there's no, well, look, if there's bar soap, these days that's it's frowned upon, but it's still, at least you have something. I went to a house where there was nothing. There was no soap.
That's what you're supposed to do.
In the like the half bath, the guest bathroom, there was no soap at all. I'm washing my hands. I'm like, what? So I went to my wife and got one of those hand sanitizers.
There you go. Because you're looking like, what are you thinking?
Yes.
And what would be even worse is no towels.
That's next on the list.
Oh, is it really?
No towels, yes.
Boy.
Or even worse, not having clean ones.
Oh gosh, yes.
That's when you're like wrapping up your shirt and you're wiping your hands.
There's supposed to be a towel for hands and not just wash towels and bath towels for the people who actually use the shower in there, because I don't want to wipe my hands on something you had on your body.
That's fair enough. It's kind of funny because people are like, well, I don't want to mess up your decorative towels. I'm like, no, if I can go in the bathroom, I'll wash my hands. If it's there, I'm using it.
Right.
I'll crinkle it up. I don't care. And the next one is basically trash that's piled up. You would go throw something away and there's like a big pile of trash. People will judge you for that.
Yes, absolutely. You're just, you're shy of becoming a hoarder.
Lunch lady on Rumble, she goes, no toilet paper.
Oh gosh. Absolutely knows that. Now, I've never experienced that, but if that happened, I'm questioning
because you're in there and you're like who was it that played in Dumb and Dumber? Remember he had the scene.
Jim Carrey?
No, well, the other one.
Oh yeah, I can't remember that guy's name.
Not Jeff Daniels. I don't know.
I don't remember his name.
But it's like guys, sorry to disturb you. That's horrible.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a horrible feeling too.
Because you're looking everywhere in the bathroom trying to find them under the sink. Is there a hidden drawer here somewhere?
What did you guys do to me?
Why are you looking through my stuff?
Are you doing this to me?
Here's one I've actually seen before, and that's hoarding.
Yeah, straight up hoarding.
Listen, if I stop by somebody's house and it's like cluttered or it's
you
not,
can't move walking in the door.
Right.
I've had that happen a couple of times.
If you stop by our house in the middle of the week, unexpected. My wife has two teenagers, a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old.
There's going to be clutter.
Yes. Now, every Saturday, if you stop by Saturday, right after noon, that's right after the cleaning time. So stop by then when we can try to convince you that that's how the house looks all the time.
That's what that's for.
But there are times you go over and things are cluttered. People are like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't worry about it. That's life.
Yeah.
But I have walked in.
Clutter's over here, hoarding.
Yeah.
Over here.
See, I've walked in at times and I look at that. I'm like, oh, there's some deep-seated issues here.
Yeah. If there's a stack of beer cans like you find outside of a stadium after a game, there's something going on.
Pyramid.
Yes, exactly.
Like after a Battlehawks game. You walk out of the dome and you see the pyramid over. You're like, well, I know there's a trash can underneath that. It's like when the Blues won the Stanley Cup and you're walking around downtown. You saw all these beer pyramids
around the trash bins.
But yeah, the hoarding thing. Because that's like, you're dealing with something off.
Now, being a collector is different because usually it's a nice display of something and stuff like that. Now, I might judge you a little bit on what you're collecting.
What would make you go? And I know the answer to this. What would make you go? Oh yeah, tell me about that.
In any sci-fi fantasy stuff,
there it is.
He's like,
there it is.
You've got the Lord of the Rings chess set. I want to see this stuff. Like
I was
that.
over at one of our good friends. He's got a. It's not really a man cave, but it's like where he watches his games and stuff. And he has some autograph sports memorabilia.
Oh, heck there you go.
I've got a little bit of that myself. He has one that is a Johnny Bench autographed baseball.
Oh, that's right in your wheelhouse.
I'm trying to talk him into putting me in his will.
Exactly.
You wipe the drool off your mouth.
All right, Susie Moore from Red State. Let's go over these Iowa caucus results. What surprised you? What excited you? What dismayed you? Let's cover it all.
This week on News Talk STL.
We will go on to easily beat whoever the hell they throw up there.
I think it's going to be a really nasty election. The people of Iowa made a choice.
How the hell do I lose Iowa?
There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy.
It's framings like that has caused the American public to lose all trust. News, analysis, and opinion.
The U.S. carried out a strike in Iraq while Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was hospitalized.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, KLAMEN Group.com, where we buy houses direct in as-is condition with no middleman involved. I recently bought a house from somebody that was embarrassed to let me in the door. There was stuff all over the place, and the entire house smelled like smoke. However, we were definitely able to see the potential. We gave them a great cash offer that they were very happy with. So if you have a house that isn't in the best shape, maybe in some disrepair, we're interested in making you an as-is cash offer. Please reach out today, KLAMEN Group.com.
Columbo and Katie.
These things happen. That you can't predict them with specificity, but you can know that they happen. And once they do happen, it is too late to prepare. Even the Israelis, Iron Dome usually protecting all of their towns and cities from most of the stuff that comes in, even they were caught by surprise. The world reminds us to take these issues seriously.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Former President Trump scored a record-setting win in the Iowa caucuses last night, giving his victory speech. He says, given the world conditions right now, a majority of voters will support him.
It's practically never been like this. It's just so important, and I want to make that a very big part of our message. We're going to come together. It's going to happen soon, too. It's going to happen soon.
And the victory last night sends a resounding message that it would appear the GOP's 2024 nomination is the former president's to lose. Parts of the United States being hit with dangerously cold weather. Correspondent Donna Warder has more.
Meteorologist Mark Chenard of the National Weather Service says much of the Rockies, Great Plains, and Midwest are experiencing dangerous wind chills.
Minus 30, minus 40, wind chills as low as 0 all the way down in the portions of Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee.
Late Monday, more than 100,000 homes and businesses were without power, mostly in Oregon. At least 4 people in the Portland area died, 2 of them suspected of having hypothermia. And possible freezing rain in the area could mean it'll be much longer before power is restored. I'm Donna Warder.
More executives are feeling better about the global economy. Here's correspondent Jeremy House.
Of the executives, 38% were optimistic about the strength of the economy, up from 18% last year. But a growing number don't think their companies will survive the coming decade without a major overhaul because of pressure from climate change and technology like artificial intelligence. 45% of the respondents were worried that their businesses wouldn't be viable in 10 years without reinvention, up from 39% last year.
That's Jeremy House reporting on Wall Street right now. Dow futures are down 57 points. More from townhall.com.
Hear that? It's the gentle sound of a waterfall on your hike. And if you were here, you'd take a deep breath of fresh air if you weren't so winded. But you're not here, because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. And the bugs you wipe from your headlights are all the nature you need. So if you ride, see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Get an online quote in as little as 3 minutes, all from the great indoors. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers. The snow has ended across the region, but do not overdrive these conditions. Plenty of slick spots out there as we begin the day in the single digits. Wind chills between 10 and 15 below zero. That said, sure is nice to see some sunshine. Wind chill warnings and advisories expire at noon today under a blue sky, but still cold. Our high only 16. Clear and frigid tonight, down to about 10 early Wednesday. We finally thaw a bit tomorrow afternoon, up to 38. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin
All right, let's break down what happened last night and look ahead to what's next in the GOP presidential race, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, when we have like the big stories that happened, I kind of try to gauge what's on everybody's mind. And the big stories, it's like, okay, we're going to talk about this about once. Now, this is bigger than this. The reaction to what happened in Iowa, I think, is bigger in a lot of ways. And regardless of which candidate you're backing, and obviously the majority of people are backing Trump right now. So we're going to talk about this because what I want to talk about at 7:20 is the very personal question then. Are you planning to be active in the 2020 campaigns? I mean, here in Missouri and Illinois as well, particularly the presidential campaign, because by March, you know, we may still have a contest, and we may have a war of attrition that's run its course. But then let's talk about that as well. So a little more in depth on that at 7:20.
Yo, break it down, bro. Break it down.
Break it down. That's right. Break it down. Don't forget our podcast. If you subscribe to that, you can listen on demand anytime you want. So whatever podcast platform you're on, we're there as well. Just look up News Talk STL. All right. Susie Moore from redstate.com joins us right now. Susie, I'm going to just hit you right out of the gate since you're joining us at 7:05. I mentioned on our own Rumble. Did you or did you not do the Kofifi dance with us?
I did not, because I was actually finishing editing an article right
Oh,
she's at work, Mike.
Well, so am I. That doesn't stop me. All right, Susie, let's first I want to kind of go over the results, what we can read into them and maybe what we shouldn't read into them. And then I want to ask you about this whole media thing jumping in, within 25 or 30 minutes of this, but we'll get to that in just a minute. I mentioned on the air here, I said, I am not going to hazard a guess to predict what's going to happen in the Iowa caucuses. Caucuses are tough to predict because they're not like a primary. They're very, very different. Still, out of the field of four, upper level candidates, and then if you also ran, Donald Trump gets just a hair over half. I mean, he got a majority of the votes, winning 98 out of the 99 counties. Now, it's still just a 12 delegate lead he's starting off with. But did he meet expectations? Did he exceed them? What's your read on Donald Trump's performance? We'll start with him.
I would say that he met expectations. His margin of victory was pretty much in line with what the polling has been showing, which is actually surprising in and of itself because we had some suspicions that the polling may not be in line with how the caucus would end up. But I would say he definitely met expectations. I don't think there's any way you could say he failed to meet them. I know that there were some on the left and at MSNBC that were trying to spin it like almost half of Iowans voted against him. Well, I mean, you had as you put it, a four-person race in terms of theoretically viable candidates, and yeah, I don't think that's a realistic interpretation of the way this vote shook out.
Wait a minute, are you saying that Rachel Maddow was not being objective, Susie?
I know, it's shocking, isn't it?
Morning, Susie. Gabe here. What do you make of this early call that that the media had by basically, I think, a half hour after voting started in the state, sort of?
No, it was. Yeah. It was between 25 and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Before, as it turns out, it looks like a majority of the counties and the precincts hadn't even begun the actual voting yet. I don't mean to jump in, but I'm going to go off on another rant.
Yeah, please. No.
Because I glanced at the clock when I heard it the first time, and it was 7:25.
Yeah.
Jeez. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you for a fact it was that because our article reporting on what they were calling it, or on their call of it, went up at 7:42. And I wrote it. And I can't write it in 30 seconds. So, but, I got it up as quickly as I could. And then even that caused some consternation. And I understand. I will say, when we were reporting on it, I didn't even realize that they weren't already voting and hadn't already, conducted the process. I just knew that the AP, Fox, Decision Desk, everybody was calling it.
Mm-hmm.
And in my view, we needed to get up the fact that the race was already being called because that's a story in and of itself. Now, in hindsight, yeah, I think that the networks and the outlets that called it formally probably need to review with people and explain why it's okay to do that when the voting is still going on. When you're talking about a normal primary or a regular election, the polls have closed. Now we're going to start tabulating. And even if people are still in line in some places, that's kind of a different situation. Here, as you point out, Mike, people literally hadn't started the actual process of caucusing, and it was already being called. And I don't like that.
Right.
And I have really mixed feelings about being a part of reporting on it, but we were kind of caught between a rock and a hard place.
Well, and on this, I mean, would it have changed the outcome as to who was first, second, third, fourth? In all likelihood, no, certainly wouldn't have changed who won the caucuses. But in some cases, people are getting their alerts, ding, 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 ding on your phone, USA Today, NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox News, all these different places. It's over. It's done. And so I could imagine that there'd be a lot of people that are like, well, I was going to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy or I was going to vote for Ron DeSantis, but I guess it's over. I'm going home. It's 25 degrees. I'm going to get home as quick as I can. So it is possible that there could have been a delegate or two or three that could have been in play by this. And I just think that all of these media outlets that rushed in to call this, and so it sounds like your story was about them calling it. Is what it sounds like. So when you've got all these national outlets rushing to call it and say it's all over, and then it turns out they were doing entrance polling for people who hadn't even voted yet, and then they said, well, it's all over, it's done. I think it was highly irresponsible, and it's something we've got to be on guard for because at that point, you are influencing what happens in the election.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. And I think that they do need to answer for that because that is a problem. As you said, it would not have changed the outcome. I think there's no doubt that Donald Trump would have won the caucuses either way. I know for a fact people that were there, that were in Iowa, that said, some guy yells out that they've already called it for Trump. So some people got up and left.
Yeah.
And these are people who went out in this, in horribly cold weather to do their part. Well, if they got up and left, were they planning to caucus for Donald Trump or were they? I mean, you don't know for sure, but you're right. It could have shifted it enough that maybe DeSantis picks up 5 and Haley picks up 3, or whatever it is. It could have been enough to make a difference. And so I don't blame people that were upset with this, and I don't blame the DeSantis camp in particular for saying, whoa, flag on the play.
Even if they were there to caucus for Trump and they said, oh, well, it's won anyway, let me go. Trump could have picked up more delegates because it's not a winner take all. So it could have affected anybody, and we don't know, the outcomes we can't call. But one of the things that I found surprising, and we talked about this earlier, was how well Nikki Haley did in this particular campaign, this race. I did not peg her as getting 20%. I was thinking more like 15. And I suspect there was some Democrats who decided to switch their registration and take a vote there, because that's some of the reporting was coming out that was actually happening.
Some shenanigans going on?
Some shenanigans. Well, I mean,
it's legal.
It's legal.
It is.
It's legal. Moral, maybe not. But what do you make of Nikki Haley's increasing, comfort with, her campaign talking about their Democratic support?
So there's two things to that. I agree with you, Gabe. My thought, before everything shook out, was that it was going to be perhaps, that Trump would probably win it, that DeSantis may kind of come in a not too distant second, let's say,
right.
And that Haley would trail maybe in the mid-teens, and the fact that she was only 2 points behind DeSantis, and this is a little surprising. Although when you look at the one county that she won, and you look at where the bulk of her votes came from, they're from the urban areas of Iowa. Mm-hmm. And that's what you would expect, whether those are moderate Republicans or Democrats crossing over. Now, I do think there probably was some of that, because I think that there is a sense among, some of it could be like Operation Chaos, like intentionally trying to muck things up, but some of it could be genuinely thinking, hey, she maybe has the best shot of heading off Trump at the pass, so I'm going to support her, because I know moderate Democrats who would possibly vote for her against Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and also it's not like Democrats have anything else to do right now. The Democrats decided not to play in Iowa.
Right.
They decided to skip it as well. Okay, so Ron DeSantis, his quote was, "We punched our ticket out of Iowa, staying in." He and Nikki Haley heading up to New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a very different voting block. Obviously South Carolina, she was governor there. But when you look at Ron DeSantis, where does he go from here? Because you say 51% to 21%. Well, that's a massive win for Trump, which it is. That's a 30-point spread. But 20 delegates to 8 delegates doesn't seem so insurmountable as you head into the next round.
Right. It's a numbers game, and the DeSantis camp has always focused on that, which is why I think that they did focus so heavily on Iowa, because they know this is a state-by-state thing. It's not a national thing, and you have to be strategic about it. So you have to recognize that, okay, each state has a set of delegates, and each state has rules as to how they are split up and apportioned. So you have to kind of play the game differently in each location. He's got a very tall order in New Hampshire, because that's just not his voting block naturally, and the people that do kind of gravitate towards him are gravitating primarily towards Trump first. So right now the polling, I think, has him like in single digits in New Hampshire, and I don't think it would be surprising for that to be the end result of that. But, he could make a decent showing in South Carolina. I think at this point it's one of those things where he has to see it through, and I think both he and Haley feel like they have to see it through, because there's always that nagging, what if something crazy happens to Trump?
Yeah.
Clearly trying to incarcerate him and send him to jail for 80,000 years isn't doing it, but you never know. A meteor could drop out of the sky tomorrow, and whoever's left standing may be the one that has to step up. So I think that there is a certain logic to staying in at this point, but how far that goes if this continues on this trend, that's a good question.
So, Susie, speaking of Trump, I've been watching what's been going on the last couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months, and it seems to me as though he has become more, this isn't the right word, conciliatory, but friendlier maybe in his interactions. And then the speech last night, his victory speech, he was very calm, collected, gave congratulations, gave accolades in a sense to Ron and Nikki. And so I'm wondering, have we seen him turn the page and become a more friendlier version of Trump in order to try to pull in folks who would not have normally thought about voting for him in the future?
Possibly. Now, if for some reason Haley were to win New Hampshire, I suspect that we might see less of that conciliatory attitude toward her. He was. I will say this. I mean, people don't often use the word gracious in conjunction with Donald Trump, but his speech last night was gracious in terms of his competitors, even to Vivek, who he kind of threw down with over the weekend. So, but that's always been his way. He's very push-pull. I mean, when he feels like he needs to do battle with you, you are the worst person on earth, and he is going to step on you and grind you into the ground. And once that's over, he's like handing you, sticking out his hand and saying, "Oh, come on, buddy, let's go do this."
Yeah, he's conciliatory when he wins.
Exactly. And that can be a little just, I guess it's disconcerting or confusing sometimes to recognize it until you realize that's how he does.
It is. All right, Susie Moore, redstate.com is where you're going to find all the coverage. Susie, thanks so much for the perspective. And now the question, we're going to ask this here at 7:22, is how involved do people stay around here? You've got the Missouri caucuses, you got the Illinois primary, so there may still be a race going on at that point. There may not. I mean, if there is a criminal conviction or two with Donald Trump, which is highly possible, I think it might be interesting to see if that has any long-term effects of the people maybe who aren't walking around in red ball caps, who had just say, this is the guy, I like him, and whether or not they change allegiance. So much can still happen.
Absolutely. I mean, it's we are not at the end of the race, so we shouldn't get out over our skis.
Exactly. So redstate.com is where you find Susie's work and all of her colleagues. Thanks again, Susie. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Susie.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Okay, the question now is, how active are you planning to be in the 2024 campaigns? Now, particularly the presidential one.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets really fixated on the presidential one. But what about some of the others? I'm talking on the Illinois side, talking on the Missouri side. 314-912-1019, or send us a note on social media as well.
I did want to update us on from the Babylon Bee. After lackluster showing, Nikki Haley orders bombing of Iowa.
The Bee wins again.
Yeah.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The next
Larry Connors, USA.
So the Iowa caucus is over. What about the winners, the losers? And now what happens with New Hampshire? That's coming up January 23rd.
Larry Connors, USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
I got an email which brought a smile. A woman named Mary wrote me, "We are purchasing a new roof from John Beal based on your recommendation." I thanked her then. I do it again now. Mary, I only endorse clients I believe in. And I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. It's all about trust. So if, like Mary, you need John Beal, trust me. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hi, News Talk listeners. This is Pastor Pat Rankin, joined today with my wife, Vicki Rankin.
Hello, News Talk listeners.
As a follower of Jesus Christ and as a pastor, one of the closest things to my heart is empowering parents and saving lives of the unborn.
Amen, Pat. I'm really excited to have Thrive Out to Have Bible. We'll travel again this year to host a Day of Compassion for National Sanctity of Human Life Sunday.
It's always an honor to have them come. Your church can join with Thrive this year as well.
Just go to thrivealivestl.org and they will get your church set up.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, Quinch, what's the name of the band? What's the name of the band? I know this.
I got nothing.
Tommy
Two Tones.
I mean, I can call the number. At least.
Really, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters with this song.
Yeah. But can you say the number without sing-songing it?
No.
That's right.
Like, that's not possible.
That's right.
Okay, question for you here. 314-912-1019. How active are you planning to be in the 2024 campaigns, particularly the presidential campaign? I keep harping on this. Listen, Donald Trump may run away with this. This may be a war of attrition that doesn't even get to Super Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time, a few good showings by Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis in other early states could reset this to where you've actually got a contest.
Right.
I'm holding on for Ryan Binkley.
There you go. Well, he did outpace Asa Hutchinson.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if you're Asa Hutchinson and he actually campaigned and he hired a staff, he's been elected statewide twice.
Yeah.
And then he goes in and has somebody you've never heard of triple him up. In the Iowa caucuses.
Lapped him a couple times.
What do you say? At that point, you know what you do? You quietly check out of the Best Western.
Yeah.
And you just get back in your car and you go home.
Go back to Little Rock.
All right, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
You're done. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so how active are you going to be? By the way, Missouri's Adopt a Highway program.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we see the signs everywhere.
Yeah.
The whole thing may be scrapped. They are. It's on hold right now.
Why?
Okay, so 735. I'm going to give you all the details.
All right.
But it's suspended right now because of who was honored by one of those signs.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Is one of these? Okay.
One of these. And
right.
And I remember us briefly mentioning it. I think it was in one of my news articles. But now there are like hearings in the state capitol about whether or not to continue the program. And the answer all the way across the board is we don't know. Because there are actual First Amendment implications here of this. So we'll talk about that at 7:35. Okay, so we may have a clearer picture of the GOP nomination race by the time the voting gets to us. And I say us, I mean Illinois, Missouri. Missouri caucuses are March 2nd.
Yeah.
Illinois primary, March 19th. Okay, so obviously there's a massive amount of attention to the presidential race. How active are you planning to be? And obviously for which candidate, I'll ask everybody as well. Again, getting a lot of conversation on Rumble, and we'll look at some of the other ones as well. But 314-912-1019. People get really fired up, Gabe, over the presidential race.
Right.
More so than even local races often.
Yeah, or even statewide, which are both, both levels, state and local, are much more significant to your life, your daily living.
It's hard for people to understand that.
Yeah.
Because, we know how things affect us at a national level, and there's such a conflict of right and wrong and ideology. But you're right. What happens in City Hall, what happens in state government actually has a more direct and immediate effect on our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, yes, immigration policy has a overall effect on the country. It brings things down. If you're living in a border state, obviously that's a big deal. If you are one of these states that might be targeted for, relocation of these immigrants, it's going to be a problem. But the thing is, when your governor does something like, I don't know, issue a stay-at-home order,
yeah,
that's directly affects your life right now.
Right, exactly. Which both governors in the area did.
Right.
Now, in Illinois, they stuck with it, and in Missouri, he kind of rescinded that after a short time, but he still did it.
Right. And if your county executive wants to spend $90,000 on a new logo, you could get off of a free clip art website.
Right.
Then yeah, that affects you too.
Okay, so are you planning to be involved? Let's say that there's still a contest by the time the caucuses come around. You and I both live on the Missouri side.
Yeah.
Stell lives on the Missouri side. So how active are you planning to be, if at all? Let's start with the presidential race.
I plan on going to the caucuses. I plan on participating in the caucuses. So that is basically the only level at which I can actually devote any time.
What about
honestly.
you, Stell?
The same, although probably Kathy will definitely be trying to go to the caucus. I'm not sure about me.
Okay. Yeah, I think with me, it depends on whether or not there's still a contest.
Right.
I mean, if there's still, even if, let's say Trump is way ahead or something, even if there's still a contest, I'm going to be there. If there's been a war of attrition and there's nobody left,
well, yeah,
I'm probably not going to do it.
Why
then.
bother? Yeah, at
right.
that point, right?
But I hope that there still is a contest. One, I'd like to experience the caucus. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
See, that's Kathy's perspective, too. Even if the race is over, she wants to go just to see what it's
Right.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are looking at, and this is one of the things I have that frustrates me about our system, especially with Iowa and New Hampshire, having such an outsized effect on our races because, one, look at what happened. 2016, after the Iowa caucuses, Rand Paul drops out. I'm like, I didn't even get a chance to vote for you, dude. Because that's who I wanted to vote for. Now, if you're a Vivek Ramaswamy fan, you're like, wait a minute, that was one contest. And you're like, it's all over. I don't have a path to victory. After one small state? Okay, but that's how the strategy and the consultants and the phone donors and the financiers and all of that, that's how they look at it, and it's weighted so early when the bulk of the delegates are awarded in March and April.
Yeah.
But by then, the bulk of the delegates are just going to whoever's left.
Yeah, it's so weird. So why do we even have such a spread out system? You know what I mean? Why are the days in which each state is voting so spread out over so many months? Why not make it one day?
Okay, here's my take
Okay.
on this. I think that we should have 10 Super Tuesdays.
Okay.
Space them out 2-4 weeks apart.
Okay.
Make each Super Tuesday regional so that the candidates can go in and just saturate and campaign to their heart's content.
So like Northeast,
right,
Southeast.
Exactly. Balance them out, big or small, that doesn't, and so, but here's the thing, is with every presidential election cycle, you shift it.
Who goes first?
You went first this time, you go last next, and you rotate them around. And so every 10 election cycles,
you're the first to go.
Somebody is first and somebody is last. That's the only fair way I think that you can do it.
That sounds great.
Goat Lady says, I'm interested because I've never been to a caucus. Should be a good opportunity to meet more people in my community.
There you
That's
go.
an interesting point.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially because we're talking to Republican primaries. You're going to meet all the Republicans in your area.
There might even be some conservatives there at this point. Maybe, depending on where you are.
Well played, sir. Well played.
What about other candidates? How do you, if you get involved with a candidate, whether it's even just putting a sign out or going full on and doing the door to door, the phone banking or whatever, the really hard work? How do you pick that candidate? I mean, is there anybody that you would consider doing that for?
Mostly out of just the lack of time to commit.
Yeah.
It's like I can't think of anybody that I would sacrifice what little free time I have left to do
And
that
it's
for.
hard work.
Yeah.
I've done the door to door thing.
Yeah.
It's hard work. Of course, I was running for it.
And also, I don't like people. So, going to a whole bunch of people's houses, a whole bunch of strangers, it's like, hey, I want you to do a thing for me. Like, that doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
I'll give money.
Okay.
I mean, I make money, so I can give money to causes that I believe in. So that I think that's probably the extent to which I probably participate in these.
Do you regularly donate to candidates, or does somebody need to stand out?
Somebody needs to stand out for me to give.
What
them
would
money.
make somebody stand out?
That's a good question. Well, I think if they tick more than a certain percentage of my personal boxes, like basically, oh wow, I'm running for this thing. It just happens to be that other person. It's like my brain is in that other person's head, and they're running for such and such, and they actually have a chance to win. That's the other aspect of it, because if I were to run, it's like obviously I would put everything behind me, but I don't have a chance to win these things. So if there was somebody like-minded enough that I felt that sort of kinship in their political stances, and they had a chance, they had a path to victory, I would do everything in my power to get them elected.
What about you, Stel?
I agree with Gabe. No, I would actually take the time to be involved if it was someone with whom I had an agreement on a majority of the issues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there is someone now with whom I have an agreement on a majority of the issues, but that's what it would take for me to be involved to the point of actually taking the time to meet people and say, hey, I hope you'll vote for so-and-so.
Are there any deal-breaking issues they disagree with you on? You're like, nope, can't do that.
Yeah. Life is one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Constitutionality. of things. There's some honest disagreements on constitutionality of stuff, but there's some make or break.
Yeah, I agree on those, and also the border. Shut the border down.
Oh yeah.
Yep. All right, 314-912-1019. By the way, those let's talk about this adopt a highway thing.
Yeah.
Most states have those, or many states have them. I think both Missouri and Illinois has them in some areas too. On the Missouri side, a lot of people don't realize that program's on hold, and it all comes down to one person who was honored by one of those signs.
Okay.
And now they're thinking about scrapping the whole thing.
I'm curious as to there are a couple of ways this could go.
Yep.
This story could go. So I'm curious which one it is.
You're going to find out at 7:36.
All right.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers. The snow has ended across the region, but do not overdrive these conditions. Plenty of slick spots out there as we begin the day in the single digits. Wind chills between 10 and 15 below zero. That said, sure is nice to see some sunshine. Wind chill warnings and advisories expire at noon today under a blue sky, but still cold. Our high only 16. Clear and frigid tonight, down to about 10 early Wednesday. We finally thaw a bit tomorrow afternoon, up to 38. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
I like supporting local companies that give back to the community. For more than 40 years, Vincent's Jewelers has helped raise more than $1.5 million for local charities. So I'm personally asking that when you're shopping for jewelry, give Vincent's a chance. And in turn, Vincent's will give even more to our community. On Olive, just east of 270. New specials every day on vincentsjewelers.com or Vincent's Facebook.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
So are you done with COVID? COVID done with you? Well, you still see people walking around with masks, and every once in a while there are reports, COVID hospitalizations are going up. Does that frighten you, or you just take it and say, well, same old, same old? Well, at the World Economic Forum underway in Davos, Switzerland, they're now discussing Disease X. Disease X that could cause 20 times more deaths than the coronavirus pandemic. Now, there's not really a Disease X yet, but they're preparing for one that might come in the future. The World Health Organization is prioritizing research and development in emergency context for all these diseases, and Disease X being one of them. Yes, the WHO, the same group that gave a pass to China when it came to COVID coming out of their labs. The concept of Disease X is they say, well, we want to learn as much as we can between surveillance, studies, improved biosecurity around the world. Might I also say, while you're looking at so-called Disease X, you exclude China from doing anything to investigate or prepare any drugs to fight Disease X?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
With Old Man Winter blowing into the heartland, let me tell you, Hanson's Tree Service is here to help. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Look them up 24/7 hansonstree.com. Do you have any tree problems at your home or your business? Overhanging branches? Have Hanson's and the gang take them down professionally so Old Man Winter doesn't. What about organic mulch? Hanson's Tree has got that in bulk. It'll save you in price and time. Incredibly convenient. Protect all those assets you've got in the ground and have Hanson's take care of everything above the ground for you as well. Get them out to your homestead or your business right now. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No
No fingerprints.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Hey everybody, it's Rob Carter. Join me on Sunday nights as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show on Sunday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, if you can honor your loved one through a state program, and that's the key here, Gabe, state program.
State program, right.
Should everybody else be allowed to do the same? Honor their loved one.
Honor their loved one. See, yeah, well, see.
If the statement ended right there.
Yeah, then it's yes, because it's if you make a rule, it needs to apply evenly across the board.
But what if their loved one is a cop-killing murderer?
Oh, jeez. Okay, that's the way this one's gonna go.
That's how this is going.
I thought it was one. I thought it was that one. Yes.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other kind it could be.
By the way, I got our News Talk STL newsletter yesterday because I'm like subscribed just like everybody else. It comes out. It is. I got to tell you, this is truly, and I'm biased because I work here, but it's really one of the best newsletters, if not the best weekly newsletter I've seen. I mean, it is easily readable, really fast, a lot of fun, audio, print, cartoon from Todd Showalter. It's all free. Just go to newstalkstl.com and sign up. You'll get it once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very share-worthy. Also very, very right-click and download or copy.
So easy. So awesome.
Good stuff. All right, it is 7:39 right now. Okay, so the Adopt a Highway program, I did not realize that this is on hold right now. Okay, so here's the thing. Missouri has had two big controversies on this.
Okay.
So the most recent one is there was a sign on Interstate 44 near Kirkwood, here in St. Louis County. And the family of Kevin Johnson, he was known as Rockhead, so Kevin Rockhead Johnson was up there. It was like in loving memory of or in loving honor of or something like that, Kevin Rockhead Johnson. And that was put up. The family went in, they paid the fee, they did the application, and so they processed it and they put it up there. Now, ideally, when you adopt a highway, you're supposed to be responsible for that like half mile and keep it clean of litter. That's the whole point of the Adopt a Highway. What's happening now is people are just kind of paying their fee and then they're honoring.
They get the name thing.
Or they get their name out there, So here's the thing, except somebody figured out in late 2022 that Kevin Rockhead Johnson is the murderer who ambushed Police Sergeant William McEntee in 2005.
Ugh.
And this is the one where he came back to a scene and ambushed Officer McEntee and murdered him in cold blood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a lot of debate over whether or not Kevin Rockhead Johnson should have gotten the death penalty because he was executed he was executed November 2022. The sign was actually last year. But he was executed in November 2022. Then his family decided to get an Adopt a Highway sign in loving memory of or in honor of him. And the state went,
Right.
After people said, hey, do you know who this is? And of course, MoDOT, I mean, they're not going to know.
Well, no, it's just a name.
They're not going to do a Google search on, especially a name like Kevin Johnson. There's probably probably 5,000 Kevin Johnsons in the state of Missouri, if not more. And so they took the sign down and then they suspended the program.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening right now is there are hearings. There's a bill sponsored by Representative Justin Sparks. Justin's been on the show.
Mm-hmm.
He's a former police officer. I think a lot of people need to remember that. His bill would make it illegal. It would ban MoDOT posting a sign designated any highway or any part of a highway named for any person who's been convicted of, killing of, or the attempted killing of, a law enforcement officer or permit any signage in convicted person's memory.
I think it should be wider. The overall ban. It's
Right.
not just people cop killers, but if you're a convicted felon, I don't want things in memory of you necessarily. But of course, that gets really wide. It gets really broad. And what about people who've managed to turn their lives around and
Right.
become great individuals after a felon, and they're an inspirational figure?
Exactly.
Okay, so the thing, this is why we can't have nice things.
Right.
This is why.
I remember talking to, I haven't talked to him in a while, but I talked to a friend of mine, David Rowland from the Freedom Center of Missouri. And David said, you've got a First Amendment issue. If the state program opens it up for one, then you open it up to everybody.
Yeah.
And so that's a tough pill to swallow. Of course, his family was throwing a fit and nobody cared because it's the family of a cop killing murderer.
Right.
I don't care what they think.
No,
I don't
not
care
at
what
all.
they felt. But it is a question to say, well, if you're going to have a state program, can you say you can do it, but you can't?
Right. Well, I mean, so long as if there is a rule that makes sense and is applied evenly, sure, right? I mean, when we prohibit things from felons, nobody generally bats an eye.
Some things.
So, I mean, there are some things.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of arguments going on. It's like, okay, well, you paid your debts to society. Why do we have
Right.
to continue
Right.
punishing these people? Yeah, I get that. But the thing is, if you make these sort of prohibitions so that they apply, evenly, then I don't think a lot of people have too much in the way of consternation about it.
Let's go back in Missouri. Let's go back over 20 years to 2001, where there was another lawsuit over the Missouri Adopt a Highway thing. Now, as far as I know, these are the only two big ones. There may have been little disagreements, but as far as I know, these are only two. Well, because you can even have a business, but you can have a nonprofit group that adopts one, Adopt a Highway, program, ABC charity,
Right.
First Baptist Church,
Right.
St. Luke's Catholic Church, whatever it is, Boy Scouts troop, whatever. And so if you're a nonprofit, you can just adopt it and then you can do the, litter cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Potosi or near Potosi back in 2001, the Klan.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
As an organization,
Yep.
right? Because they hadn't been outlawed as an organization,
Right. And they still haven't.
right? So they could do that. They that is in the same way that they can apply for protest permits and
Right.
things like that. They can do that.
They applied to adopt a highway. MoDOT went, yeah, no, we're not going to have the Klan. Well,
Yeah.
they sued and won.
Yes.
In 2001 because the First Amendment applies to, those cousin kissing,
Backwards so-and-sos.
backwards bigots too. I mean,
Yeah.
they have First Amendment protections as well, and that's the fragility of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Or the fragility of our rights under the First Amendment. The
Yes,
First Amendment
yeah.
is very strong.
Right, yeah.
But we are really tempted to go, but you're horrible, so therefore I don't want you to be able to speak. Well, I don't want them to speak either, but I know that if I take away a horrible person's right to speak, that it's not a big leap for somebody to take away mine.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the program here, you're paying for the sign.
Yes.
Taxpayers aren't doing it. You're doing it. That's the whole point of the program, is to also try to save money with litter and clean up and beautify the state and all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to a situation like this where the family says we want to honor our loved one, but he murdered a cop in an ambush style.
Mm-hmm. He's a cold-blooded killer.
Is there no way that you can say, no, I don't think so, not on our highways, without violating a First Amendment?
The Jeffrey Dahmer Memorial stretch
Right.
of highway, right?
At some point, is it possible to say, that's and I don't know the answer. I want there to be an answer that says yes. I just don't know what it is.
The Lee Harvey Oswald stretch of highway. I mean, yeah, you could play that game all day, and of course it gets really gross. It kind of goes back to one of the founding fathers saying that our style of government is for a moral people.
Yeah.
And these are kind of the examples of why that is. But at the same time, we have to maintain the standard of upholding these freedoms, even when it hurts. So my solution is abolish the program, make inmates clean it. Clean the highways. Make inmates clean the highways. I want to bring back the chain gangs.
I remember seeing. I remember seeing a chain gang back in the 70s.
Oh yeah,
when I was driving through Jefferson City.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't driving; I was a kid. But going through at the old Missouri State Penitentiary, they actually had some of the gangs out working on the out there by 63 highway. So it hasn't been that long since we've had the change work programs.
Yeah, work programs.
But the bottom line here is that this entire program could get scrapped.
Yeah, and
let me say, if I think the choice is between honoring cop killing murderers or not having the program where you spend a couple $100, I don't think you should scrap a program because of 2 or 3 bad actors, which was pointed out in that news article I read. But at the same time, that becomes the next thing. That becomes the next. I'm going to advertise, this Adopt a Highway brought to you by Hamas.
Right, exactly.
St. Luke's. I mean,
right.
Osama
bin Laden Memorial Stretch of Highway.
Right. All right. 314-912-1019. All right, just ahead here. Very, very few things really make me want to, I'm not going to say punch people because that would be a call to violence, which I'm not advocating. But I'm just saying is that makes me really angry at people, especially in cold weather like this, the way that they're abandoning some very, very helpless creatures. The numbers are really stunning here in St. Louis. I'll tell you about them right around 7:51 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
I never learned why meteors were formed. I only farmed in schools that were so worn and torn. If anyone can drive, and so can I read books and draw life from
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at CIH.health. That's CIH.health.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Iowa caucuses, the results. I don't know that a whole lot of people are shocked by Donald Trump winning by a big margin.
No, if you were just to say, hey, Donald Trump won, it was like, oh, yeah, I saw that.
I kind of saw that coming. Was it, I think there were some people that were holding out some sort of hope that it would have been closer, especially if you're a DeSantis fan or a Nikki Haley fan or along those lines.
I think when you get into the details, yeah.
So 8:05, let's break down the results and where we go from here. It kind of drives me nuts, and the political class tells me, Mike, you're not living in reality. This right here tells us it's over. Well, it's one state, Iowa. Long way to go, a lot of variables in this. So let's analyze what happened. Get your take on that, 314-912-1019, or just send us a note on social media. And then kind of break down what surprised you, what didn't, what made you happy, what didn't. And then we'll look ahead to New Hampshire, look ahead to South Carolina as well. All right, it is 7:52 right now. Temperatures are just nasty out there. By the way, the road conditions are not great. Right. We were seeing a lot of accidents being reported all over some of the major highways. I fishtailed a little bit coming in on one of the side roads, but I was going so slow, I was like planning for it. So I knew it was going to happen because I was going downhill and it was very slushy. So if you're really careful, you'll be fine, but you can't account for everybody else. I think a lot of people say, oh, it's sunlight. I can see the pavement. I'm fine. I'm going 65 or 70.
Yeah.
No. Don't do that. A lot of highways were closed a little bit ago because of wrecks. Hopefully, a lot of those have been cleared. But the bottom line is that it is, I'm going to look at
really
my
cold
weather app. It is,
and it's definitely slick.
It is 1 degree right now in Maryland Heights, according to my app right here. So be very careful out there. And obviously, we're staying out of the cold as well because we're sentient beings.
Yeah, and we have technology.
Right. And so we don't have to do that. But get this. I saw this story on Channel 4, and I saw another one on, I don't remember if it was Channel 2 or Channel 5. We're now going into our third day of 0 to sub-zero actual temperatures and wind chills at, minus 10, minus 15, whatever it is. There are animal rescues on both sides of the state line that have found hundreds of animals. Now, a lot of these are just strays, and it's nobody's fault. There's just strays, and they see an animal, and they try to get it into some shelter and probably, spay or neuter it and do the trap and release and that sort of thing. And that's fine. But when I'm reading this, they're talking to a number of these animal kind of rescue groups, like Gateway Pet Guardians is one of them. Diamonds in the Rough, RUFF, is another one that's in St. Charles County, and they're talking about how many of these animals they're finding. But here's what's interesting. One of the volunteers for Gateway Pet Guardians is quoted in Channel 4 saying, given the economical decline, we've seen a lot more dumped and stray animals, especially in our community. So what they're saying here is that you've got people who say, I can't afford this anymore. My gosh, that food, animal food is expensive. That litter is expensive. It's I just can't afford this. And so instead of trying to go back to a shelter, they're just opening the door and abandoning their pet, or they're driving somewhere and they're dropping them off.
That is so horrible.
If you did that a couple weeks ago, do you feel like an a-hole right now? Because you should feel like an a-hole right now.
Absolutely. My goodness. I mean, this is definitely not the weather that you leave animals out in the cold. We, Janet and I were sitting around the house the other day, and we have, through our kitchen window, we kind of have a clear view of our backdoor neighbors. They have, like, they're up on a hill behind us. And typically we see a couple of huskies that kind of run out and around there.
Huskies are great.
Yeah, they are awesome. And it wouldn't have been unusual for us to see a couple huskies running around, especially in the cold weather. Huskies really love this.
They
this
love
weather.
cold weather.
This is like, if you see a couple huskies outside, they are actually fine. Leave them alone. But other breeds aren't necessarily so acclimated. So this time we actually saw a couple of bully breeds dogs, like a white one and a gray one, and they were up on that hill, kind of cuddling each other in the cold. And we looked at each other like, first of all, I didn't know that house had those dogs, and second, they seem to be not having such a good time.
Right,
so we watched them for a good hour and a half of them sitting outside. I was like, okay, it's like, I don't know if anybody's home, but I'm going to drive up there. And we need to prep the house in case we need to bring them here. Because I wasn't going to.
Because your cats would love bully dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Sassy loves those things. but yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where if you see an animal like in distress outside in this cold, it's horrible. I couldn't imagine forcibly driving out to the freaking woods someplace and letting your dog out and say, yeah, and he's waiting for you to come back.
It's just cruel.
It's so cruel.
Listen, if you can't keep up with your pet for a variety of reasons, and there are a lot of legitimate reasons.
Look, we get that.
Yeah, it happens. Go back to the shelter.
Right.
Or pick a shelter and take the effort, take the time to do it. These animals are I mean, they're not helpless because they are survivors and they are animals, but
they'll figure it out. But still,
maybe they will.
Maybe they will. Yeah.
But the same time is that they depend on us.
Yeah.
And there's a moral imperative.
Yes.
To take care of what you're I mean, like, Rachel and I have a cat. We take care of that cat. We have a responsibility to take care of it because that's what we signed up for.
Yeah. When we created domestic animals, we made them to be dependent on us.
Yeah.
So it's required that we provide for them.
So don't be an a-hole, basically.
Exactly.
And they need fosters again.
Yeah.
They need a lot of fosters. Yeah. All right, let's talk Iowa caucuses here at 8:05. What'd you like? What did you not like? What surprised you? Where do we go from here next? That's just ahead.
The latest news.
The U.S. carried out a strike in Iraq while Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was hospitalized.
Republicans are pushing for a standalone bill to secure the southern border.
The news you need to know.
We're on pace to get to 12 million illegal migrants coming into the country under the Biden presidency.
I'm not pledging allegiance to your new religion.
And the place to talk about it.
Biden is going to drive this country into the ground.
101.9 and 94.1.
Right here.
News Talk STL.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. An historic victory for Donald Trump last night in the Iowa caucuses.
I want to thank everybody. This has been some period of time, and most importantly, we want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all. What a turnout. What a crowd.
A big turnout despite bitterly cold weather. Dangerously cold wind chills are continuing to affect much of the Rockies, Great Plains, and the Midwest.
Still got wind chills, minus 30, minus 40. Wind chills as low as 0 all the way down into portions of Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee.
This National Weather Service forecaster Mark Shedard. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has been released from the hospital. More on that from White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
After spending 2 weeks at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to treat complications from prostate cancer surgery, the 70-year-old Austin is back home. Doctors say his prognosis is excellent and he will work from home as he recovers. The Pentagon chief caused a firestorm by failing to inform the White House about his hospitalization. President Biden said that was a lapse in judgment, but he still has confidence in Austin. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The state of Washington has sued to block the proposed merger of Kroger and Albertsons, two of the country's largest grocery store chains. Here's correspondent Jeremy House.
Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson filed the lawsuit in King County Superior Court. The Seattle Times reported that Ferguson, in his suit, argued that the $25 billion deal would harm consumers and raise prices. According to the suit, Kroger and Albertsons have more than 300 locations in the state and account for more than half of its grocery sales.
As correspondent Jeremy House reporting, Kroger owns QFC, and Fred Meyer is seeking to acquire Albertsons. More from townhall.com.
Retirement Outlook.
If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's 820-800.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers. The snow has ended across the region, but do not overdrive these conditions. Plenty of slick spots out there as we begin the day in the single digits. Wind chills between 10 and 15 below zero. That said, sure is nice to see some sunshine. Wind chill warnings and advisories expire at noon today under a blue sky, but still cold. Our high only 16. Clear and frigid tonight, down to about 10 early Wednesday. We finally thaw a bit tomorrow afternoon, up to 38. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns, whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today. Solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin
A little bit of breaking news. It's not a huge news story, but I think it's interesting when it comes to the New Hampshire primaries that just happened about 40 minutes ago. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. The Iowa caucuses on everybody's mind today. Interesting results, 314-912-1019. Let's talk about that, and then where do we go from here? It is 8:05. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. All right, so I'm sure you've heard the news that Donald Trump won, and won pretty big on the Iowa caucuses last night. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. And let me go down the list of who did what. Okay.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind that Iowa is not a winner-take-all state.
Right.
So finishing in second place, third place, getting a percentage of the vote gets you delegates towards the nomination, and that's what all of these are about, are winning those delegates for the nomination.
Right. You have to get 1,215 delegates in order to win the Republican nomination, I think, and you're going to give us the totals post-Iowa, right?
Yes, precisely. So Donald Trump got 51% of the vote last night.
Okay.
Big win.
Big win.
Which, like Susie Moore told us a little bit ago, that's basically what the expectations were. Now, there were some people saying he's going to win by 40, 50%, which we were going, that's nonsense. There's no way.
Right.
But he wins by about 30. About
Yep.
30%. Ron DeSantis came in second place with 21% of the vote. Nikki Haley was a little behind him with 19% of the vote. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's now bowed out of the race, he was 7.6%. And then there was just some also rans in sub 1% things. So here are the delegates, though. And I'm glad you confirmed that, Gabe, because 1,215 delegates is what it takes to win the nomination. So that's 50% plus one.
Yes.
Is 1,215. Well, Donald Trump now has 20.
Okay, he's got 20.
Ron DeSantis now has 8.
Okay.
And Nikki Haley has 7.
All right. Donald Trump is 1 point. Wait, hold on. You said 20?
20.
So he's 1.6% the way there.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Well, it is, but that's the whole thing, is that this whole process is supposed to be step after step after step after step. And that's why we do, 1 or 2 states at a time, and then you got a Super Tuesday somewhere as well, because Iowa has had their say.
Right.
By the way, that was because of the weather out there. It was one of the lowest turnouts just numerically they've had in about 25 years. But the spread of the victory, I think, is the biggest ever in the Iowa caucuses.
Right.
So had they had a normal turnout, I suspect that spread would be about the same.
Yeah. I think the weather probably played a really big part of it. If you'd noticed in some of the instances where Trump had his rallies and there was inclement weather, a lot of people braved the inclement weather in order to go. His enthusiasm meter is off the charts when it comes to that. So that absolutely played a role, I think, in this dealing with the weather.
And if it's just going to a rally, I don't know if brave is the word I would use to go through life-threatening cold weather to attend a rally. Brave may not be the word I would use. Braving it to go vote, I look at a little bit differently, but that's just my opinion on this. And then we're going to get to the media thing here in a couple of minutes as well, because that really pisses me off.
Oh, gosh, yeah, what the media did here.
Unbelievable. I shouldn't say unbelievable. It is believable.
Well, yeah.
It's very believable.
At this point, it's par for the course.
Yeah. Okay, but about 45 minutes ago, Nikki Haley announced, and I want to thank Tim Jones from the afternoon show who gave us a heads up on this. He spotted this. Nikki Haley has announced that she is not going to debate Ron DeSantis in New Hampshire.
Right. There are 2 GOP debates that are scheduled in New Hampshire. And she said she doesn't want to do that.
Right. Well, here's part of what she said at her speech last night after the caucuses. Now, keep in mind, she finished in 3rd place. Okay. And then she said this.
I can safely say tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a 2-person race.
Okay, that makes no sense.
It makes zero sense.
Absolutely no sense. But that is clearly what the line is going to be, is she's going to be campaigning on. Listen, reality is there's just 2 of us left. Okay, first of all, you're in 3rd place.
Right.
But she posted 47 minutes ago on Twitter, X, whatever. She said, "We've had 5 great debates in this campaign. Unfortunately, Donald Trump has ducked all of them. He has nowhere left to hide. The next debate I do will either be with Donald Trump or with Joe Biden. I look forward to it." Okay, so what she is saying there is that the next 2 debates would be one-on-one with her and Ron DeSantis.
Right.
And what I'm reading is she does not want any part of Ron DeSantis for a couple of reasons. One, he's a better debater. Secondly, it reinforces that it's not a 2-person race. It is, in fact, a 3-person race. Now, I think both she and Ron DeSantis should be harping on the fact that Donald Trump is, in fact, ducking the debates. And, you can point out and say, hey, look at the scoreboard. He doesn't need to be there. True. I understand the strategic part, and I'm not going to go through my whole spiel again. I think he owes it to voters, and he doesn't feel that he owes it to voters. So Nikki Haley, though, basically trying to say, well, this is just a 2-person race. Well, then why did you finish in 3rd place then, Nikki?
The only logic that I can pull from that is that this was a line that the campaign had come up with prior to any votes being taken. That they had decided that, okay, before anything gets started, just make sure that you harp on this idea that it's a 2-person race, and the only people you're going to be willing to debate is Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
Right.
And then you can move on from there. You don't have to do any more debates. We can just focus on the ground game and talking to our Democratic donors.
You could be dismissive of the also-rans if you want. You could even arrogantly say, no, I'm not debating Asa Hutchinson. What are you, out of your mind?
Sure.
I'm not wasting my time with that.
That's logical.
She's trying to do this with Ron DeSantis,
who's
who is ahead of her.
Which is so weird. It doesn't make okay, even if Ron DeSantis had said, hey, this is a 2-person race now, that I'd say
I would question that. I would disagree with that. I wouldn't question it. I would say, no, it's not.
It's like, okay, you have more of a leg to stand on than Nikki's saying that, but it's still not true.
Right.
Because she's within a point and a half of you.
Right.
So,
exactly.
It doesn't work. I don't even understand why they decided to pull the trigger on that, except that she really, really wants to avoid those debates.
So are there 2 more debates tentatively scheduled?
Yes.
Yeah.
For New Hampshire alone.
So here's a little different perspective. I can't read what's going on in Nikki's mind, but is she thinking, all right, I will skip those and I will look forward to the actual presidential portion of the race when I will debate either Trump or Biden? Well, no,
that's what she's saying.
Yeah, that's what
she's saying.
That's the narrative she's trying to put forward, is that that the underlying idea is DeSantis is not a factor anymore.
Yeah.
That's how she's trying to spin it. DeSantis is not a factor. Her only competition is Donald Trump, and then after that, Joe Biden. So that was why her statement.
I think it's a bit quixotic, shall we say?
So if those 2 were scheduled, then
what happens?
They get unscheduled?
I don't know. I mean, do you just make it a town hall for Ron DeSantis? I mean,
yeah, I guess that would be
I
a
don't
possibility.
If he's the only one, if he says I will go and I will be there, then now you've already said they've already got these venues.
Right.
They've already got the people lined up who are going to ask the questions and stuff like that. So if you're Ron DeSantis and you say I accept, well now
which he's already done,
and DeSantis has accepted.
He's
okay,
accepted. Yeah.
Well then basically, the GOP is going to run 2 DeSantis campaign events.
Well, it's not the GOP. It's local media.
Oh, is it local media?
Yeah, it's
local
TV.
I
and
thought
local
I thought it was
newspaper.
I thought it was the RNC. Okay.
Nope, not the RNC.
All right.
So my guess is that they probably get canceled, or they try to convert it to a smaller town hall thing. And the thing is at this point in the process, town halls are important, but not the big media style ones.
Yeah.
Not the ones that end up on C-SPAN or CNN or Fox or anything like that. It's the ones where, you go into the Farm Bureau and meet with, those are the types of things. If you like Ron DeSantis, you're going to go to the town hall. If you don't like him, you're not.
What about the leaners? What about the people they're still undecided? They're like, well, I'm leaning one way or the other. If he's the only one having events, though,
they may show up to, especially if they think there's a chance to question him. But the bottom line is that a Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis debate, while would not draw the same numbers as if Donald Trump were there, but between them, they're going to fill, a college auditorium,
right?
And be very respectable. A town hall of any individual candidate is not going to do that.
Exactly.
It's not going to get as many people. But this is disingenuous on Nikki Haley's part, I think. Okay, let me also do a quick rant here. The media. Okay, still. I keep saying I couldn't believe, but I can believe. But it was just so blatant last night, so out of line last night. The caucuses began at 7 p.m. Central Time, our time. And the voting generally starts, 7:30, 7:45 from what I've been reading about this, because I've not been to a caucus, but that's the standard. There's some final speeches. Here are the administrative house cleaning stuff. This is the housekeeping stuff. We're going to have the rules here. Here's how it works. If you support this person, go here, etc. So at 7:25, national networks and other national media outlets like USA Today and some of the others, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, all of them, they were announcing that the race was called for Donald Trump. Between 7:25 and 7:30, there was this mad rush to say it's over. We now know that a majority of the counties and the precincts in Iowa hadn't even begun the actual voting yet. So At the moment, statistically, there was no possible way they could have known that, but they did their polls and they competed to be the first to announce it. And we also know, I mean, we talked to Susie Moore a little bit ago, who talked to people in Iowa. We saw other firsthand accounts where people said, well, I was waiting to vote, and then I find out it's over, and so I left. And I don't think that would have changed who won the caucuses last night. Donald Trump was going to win that no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But it is possible that there are delegates that didn't go to one of the other candidates or didn't go to Trump because people went, well, I guess it's over, because the media was so irresponsible, so unethical, and so dishonest that they decided to inject themselves into the race without having a leg to stand on this. And so even if you're a Donald Trump supporter and this benefited Donald Trump, you should also be really uncomfortable and upset that the media decided to do this, because there was no reason to do it. It was unethical. It was dishonest. Whatever pejorative I could put, that's what I think of the media's behavior last night.
I think the portion of it that stunned me was not only that it was at 7:25, but the correspondent we were watching, and we were watching Flashpoint on the Victory Channel, which is a news-oriented program that's on for an hour a couple nights a week. Actually, now it's 3 nights a week. And they had a correspondent in Des Moines, and he came on at 7:25 and said, with 1% of the vote in. And I thought, wait 1%? A minute, 1%, and you're already listening to what the other legacy and mainstream media folks are saying, and repeating the fact that they've called it for Donald Trump. No, just wait.
Was
just
that correspondent calling it, saying we can call it now? Did he say that?
Essentially, yes. Yeah,
okay.
He was just in line with everything else that he was hearing at that particular time, and it was 7:25, and I looked at the clock and thought, golly, that's awfully early. This smacks of Fox calling Arizona back in 2020.
Okay, exactly.
Man.
That's why I say, because I saw a lot of Trump supporters and MAGA accounts and things like that on social media, like, fastest victory in history. This is amazing. I'm like, guys, your memory's really short, because you're still bitching about Fox calling Arizona in 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, so make up your mind here. But this, if anything, you should go, whoa. We don't want media, because if they're going to do this here, does that mean in South Carolina, if Nikki Haley does really well because it's her state, that they say, hey, we're calling it Nikki Haley with the upset win here in South Carolina, and then people are going home who would have been Trump's. Okay, it goes both ways here.
Or if she's doing very poorly at the beginning,
right,
and you're calling someone else to win it. Well, wait a minute. It's still not fair to the other candidates.
It's not exactly earth-shattering news that media gets it wrong or is biased, but this was full-on irresponsible, full-on unethical, full-on dishonest. Even though they got the winner right,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. This is a cliche word, they disenfranchised voters who went through minus 25-degree wind chill weather to get there to vote before they could vote, finding out, well, it's all over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hopefully people voted their conscience anyway, but it was disgusting what the media did. I've made my entire career in the media, and I found it disgusting. I'm disgusted by my own
disgust.
I'm disgusted by my own industry.
Yes.
And by the way, conservative media wasn't any better.
No, not at all.
They did it too.
Yeah. Don't jump on the train just because everybody else is on there.
314-912-1019. Got any reflections on the Iowa caucuses and what's ahead? We still got time to talk about it here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Are you tired of the corruption and special interest groups controlling our state and cities? Are you tired of yelling at your TV or your car radio because important issues like crime, homelessness, education, and taxes are being blocked by special interest groups? It is time for Missourians to declare our independence from special interest groups corrupting our government. Join the Freedom Principle Mo today, and you can be an integral part of creating the largest statewide member-led organization fighting for America and Missouri First policies. The Freedom Principle Mo is fighting to put the voters back in charge of our government. The Freedom Principle Mo has been a leading voice in Jefferson City, fighting for our police and making our community safer, exposing corruption at the local level and in Jefferson City. It's time to start making our elected officials start listening to us and finally start passing legislation that protects our freedom and protects Missouri's values. Visit our website at freedomprinciplemmo.org and join today and make 2024 the year we get something done.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Donald Trump's big night in Iowa. The GOP field narrows again. We didn't get to that in just a minute. Also, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin goes home after a couple of weeks. I lost track of him. Where is he?
I don't know.
Where's
He was
Lloyd?
AWOL.
Lloyd! Where are you? All right, and the Blues up and down season continues to be up and down. 8:23 right now. Mike, that's Stell. Got Gabe here as well. All right, as we've been talking about, Donald Trump gets a big 30% spread win in the Iowa caucuses. Here's part of his remarks after the caucuses actually closed and they could confirm the winner.
I want to congratulate Ron and Nikki for having a good time together. We're all having a good time together. And I think they both actually did very well.
Okay, spoiler alert, not everybody was having a good time together at that, just so you know.
But the tone of his voice was very measured, I thought.
Which is very, I think a lot of people were like, whoa, what's going on here?
And he's kind of been that way the last couple months, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm wondering if other folks have been telling him, hey, listen, you need to change your attitude on the stump speeches.
Right, because if you are convinced, like the Trump campaign is, they convinced it's all over. He's the nominee. It's not all over, but if they're saying you're now campaigning against Joe Biden, well, don't remind half the country why they hate you. You know, I mean that's because
there's enough hate on Biden's side.
Oh,
let's not add more hate into
right,
it.
Exactly. By the way, the New Hampshire primary is 1 week away. 1 week away here, but the race is now down to 3. So less than 48 hours after being trashed by Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy announced last night that he's ending his campaign and he's endorsing Donald Trump. Ramaswamy got about 7.5% in the Iowa caucuses. He did pick up a few delegates. But what's interesting here is that he's out after one caucus, says he doesn't see a path to victory, which he never had. But it's one of those where he made his point. He put some things in the conversation that I think needed to be there. I think he got a little weird and goofy on some other stuff at the end there at the end of his tenure. But it sounds to me like this is a guy who never really intended to try to run to win, but he intended to get in and have an impact, which I think he did.
I think maybe from his perspective, he may have thought, you know what, if the door opens up for me and I can get my foot in the door, maybe there is some hope for a future there that would be something that I can, that I can flesh out. Maybe not necessarily a presidential race this time, but I can get my foot in the door, and 4 years from now, I can make another run at it.
Yeah, or 8 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, or 12 years from now. I mean, so he's got a lot of room. He's very, very young. as well. So
besides, he was spending his own money. Most of the stuff
and
was his
it's
own.
kind of funny because like you look at their campaign site, they always have a donate one. Well, the multimillionaire has a tougher time saying, "Can you please donate? I need gas money." Most of the time it doesn't work. Just say it doesn't. All right, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has been released from the hospital.
After spending 2 weeks at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to treat complications from prostate cancer surgery, the 70-year-old Austin is back home. Doctors say his prognosis is excellent, and he will work from home as he recovers. The Pentagon chief caused a firestorm by failing to inform the White House about his hospitalization. President Biden said that was a lapse in judgment, but he still has confidence in Austin. Greg Clugston, Washington.
I'm trying to imagine what it was like. Where's the secretary? He was just here, wasn't he? No, come to think of it, I haven't seen him in a couple days. Somebody, where's Lloyd? Call his wife. Where? Come on, who's keeping track of the secretary today?
Because as Gabe likes to say, if I were out of the office for 3 days, I think folks would be wondering, what happened to Gabe?
I would be.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, here in St. Louis County, a little bit closer to home here, pro-Hamas protesters say they're going to show up tonight at the St. Louis County Council meeting. What are they going to do? Well, nothing constructive. The anti-Semitic activists are demanding a resolution from the county government that officially calls for an Israeli ceasefire as that nation continues to fight the terrorist groups that started a war against them in October when they slaughtered innocent Israelis. Organizers say they are calling for the activists to, and I'm using their words here, calling for the activists to pack the Council for Palestine and take up as much of the public comment time as possible. So here's how it works, Del, is at each of these meetings, there's a certain amount of time that is allocated for public remarks.
Mm-hmm.
And you can come in and basically speak to anything you want as long as it somewhat has to do with county government. And if you're demanding a resolution, that would qualify.
And they give you 5 minutes, maybe?
I think it's
3 minutes?
I think it's 3 minutes, yeah. So basically, there's a very limited number of people. You got to get there early. You get your whatever slot that you get. And so they want to take up all of those. Now, there are people who probably need to talk about the roads or the parks or, some kind of important stuff. And if they get there right at time for the meeting, they're going to find that that's all been blocked off because of a bunch of anti-Semites who want to just bash Israel and Jewish people. So the meeting tonight actually starts at 6:30, I believe. Let me double check on that here. But it actually starts at, oh, come on, computer, go a little faster than that. There we go. Tonight's meeting of the St. Louis County Council starts at 6 o'clock. So if you wanted to get there earlier and take up a public speaking part and kind of pass block them to take as many of these so there aren't any left, you need to get there probably 5:30, 5:45. And this is going to be at the St. Louis County Council chambers in Clayton as well. So these people are gross. I mean, they're disgusting.
I'll be honest with you. You might want to get there at 4:30 or 5 o'clock because I'm guessing these folks are going to be camping out maybe for most of the afternoon. I wouldn't be shocked waiting for the door to open.
From what we can tell, they don't have jobs. Somebody's funding all of this anti-Semitism that they're doing. So they may show up and cause a scene. My hope is that it fizzles out and I don't even have to give them attention tomorrow.
Now you're getting me riled up.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Okay, real quick here. The Blues ended their homestand with a loss. Final score at Enterprise last night was Philadelphia 4, St. Louis 2. Blues are off until Thursday when they travel to Washington to take on the Capitals.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of sports items, and this is probably going to make you scratch your head a little bit. So I get home from work yesterday afternoon, and I walk in the door, and I hear bowling pins.
Bowling pins?
Bowling pins are getting hit somewhere, and I'm thinking, how did we get bowling lanes inside our house? And I walk in, and Kathy's watching a bowling tournament on Fox 2 yesterday. They had one on in the afternoon. It was a live broadcast from Wichita, Kansas.
Okay,
and it was the finals of that tournament that they had going on there, PBA sanctioned tournament.
Oh, right.
And she was getting into it, man. She's going, man, pick up that sleeper. Pick up that split there, man. Oh, you got that 310. Oh, no. And then I realized Kathy grew up in Florissant, and when she was a kid, Dick and Pete Weber were huge on the bowling scene nationally.
Okay.
You know, these guys are PBA Hall of Famers. And they had their own bowling lane in Florissant, so I'm guessing that she probably went there as a kid. So she is totally into it. Like, no, don't, no, man, don't do that. Oh, look at that. That's an awful shot. You got a Brooklyn on that one? What happened there? You know, where's the 3 turkeys for three strikes in a row?
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny watching her get into it. And it totally shocked me because I didn't expect bowling to be on.
And on ESPN2, that's pretty high up there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like big football games are on ESPN2.
So, but to see it on Fox, on the regular Fox 2.
Oh, Fox 2. I'm sorry,
yeah, it was
Fox
on the
2,
regular
yeah.
Fox 2. That totally surprised me. But then I realized, well, you know, there's folks like Kathy out there who love bowling.
Hey, if there's a market.
You know, we had Bowling for Dollars here in St. Louis, and that was huge back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, you just keep it legitimate. You keep it above board, stay out of the gutters.
Mm-hmm. Oh!
I did a Stell there. 314-912-1019, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers. The snow has ended across the region, but do not overdrive these conditions. Plenty of slick spots out there as we begin the day in the single digits. Wind chills between 10 and 15 below zero. That said, sure is nice to see some sunshine. Wind chill warnings and advisories expire at noon today under a blue sky, but still cold. Our high only 16. Clear and frigid tonight, down to about 10 early Wednesday. We finally thaw a bit tomorrow afternoon, up to 38. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
Hillary Clinton's Columbia course on decision making is dubbed uninspiring. Knock me over with a feather. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
The Fed's new FedNow system is all about surveillance and control. Secure your assets today with something Washington cannot manipulate. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon, and I recommend diversifying your retirement into a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. Do this right now. Text SHELTER to the number 989898 and get a free info kit from Birch Gold. There's no obligation or purchase required.
Message and data rates may apply.
Clinton has had an inspiring career. That is, if you're inspired by lying, deceit, and manipulation. But it turns out her class on decision-making at Columbia University has left some of her students feeling uninspired. The course is titled Inside the Situation Room, and the course description promised it would teach students to think carefully and analytically about how leaders arrive at their decisions. Now, I'm no fan of Hillary Clinton, but even I would be intrigued to learn how she arrived at some of her disastrous and even deadly decisions like Benghazi or the use of her private server. But apparently, the course didn't cover that and wasn't worth the enrollment. In a viral TikTok video, one student accused Mrs. Clinton of simply reciting passages word for word from her own book and passing it off as a lecture. She also found Hillary to be unrelatable and stiff. Well, I'd say that's pretty obvious. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com. Hey, it's Tony Colombo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey.
In the state of Missouri, we have a tool at our disposal to fight back. We have a statute on the books that makes it a felony offense to knowingly transport criminal alien through the state of Missouri. That's an enormous deterrent effect against drug traffickers and human traffickers. And we need to use that statute to make sure we're enforcing the laws and preventing this invasion from negatively impacting Missouri further.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president.
We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get into my car. Yes, you. Get into my car.
Billy Ocean, man.
This is your fault, Gabe.
Is it mine?
This is a guilty pleasure. It just is. I love Billy Ocean.
Oh, man. It's a great song.
Because you remembered this.
Yeah.
Because I had kind of forgotten about it because I was thinking Loverboy, Caribbean Queen, and suddenly, and when Mike and I were tossing the titles back and forth,
And I said,
you tossed in, get out of my car.
Get into my car.
Yeah, get out of my dreams, get in my car.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, okay, I need to remember that one, too.
Out of my dreams.
Gabe.
Get into my car.
Stop it.
Billy Ocean singing.
Let him sing it, please. Yes, he has a much better voice than I do.
All right, right around 8:50 here, we've got an update. Ron DeSantis has now responded to Nikki Haley.
Yep.
Let's do that right around 8:50.
Okay.
Because we do have that that update after the Iowa caucuses as well. So we'll get to that. All right, it is, what the heck time is it? 8:37 right now. So we got Gabe here, singing Gabe. Stell over here. And I'm like, actually, Gabe can sing.
Yeah.
You can.
Karaoke Gabe.
I do karaoke. I like that one. Yes, I'm on my church's worship team. So
I cannot sing. But
Nor can I.
It was a requirement in my family, actually. Yeah, as for some reason, the preacher's kid thing. I guess it didn't hit. It didn't hit you. It skipped you.
Listen, my mom's a great singer. My dad's he was a terrible singer, and I inherited that from him.
My dad had an operatic voice, but yeah. So yeah, it was a requirement in my family that you had to either play an instrument or sing or both, because you were when you were born, you became part of the worship team.
You became yeah. All right, we just had. I just had a quick note in the news that the pro-Hamas protesters, and if you're one of them and you're mad at me for saying pro-Hamas, it's like, no, this is about Palestine. 314-912-1019. Let's get it on here on the air.
Strap it up.
Because that's what you are, is pro-Hamas protesters. Happy to have the debate with you, but they're planning to show up and try to fill up the county council chambers in St. Louis County because they're demanding one of those resolutions.
Oh, yeah. One of the
the
useless, pointless things that doesn't mean anything and all that stuff. Oh, yeah, that's great. That's
now,
great,
whether they get it or not, I don't know. Got Ben here. Ben, you're on News Talk STL. What's your reaction?
Good morning. We need to go back to New Year's Eve, okay? Mm-hmm. These people had planned a motorcade near Frontier Park, okay? Come to find out, when that motorcade gets going, where are they going? Right next door to Ameristar Casino, where my friend works in casino surveillance at another property, but he gets alerts from these other casinos, okay? Mm-hmm. They ran 100, 120 deep into Ameristar trying to shut it down. So these are the people going out there. They're trying to take your job. They're trying to shut down your workplace.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have
to take money out of our community.
Yeah. Oh, Ben, that's exactly the tactic. That's precisely. Remember, this is the same movement that shut down Chicago's O'Hare Airport.
Yep.
That tried to shut down Boston Logan's airport.
JFK too.
JFK.
Right?
I mean, and that's absolutely what they're trying to do, is inflict as much economic damage as they possibly can and make people as angry as possible. At least at this point, their violence has been limited, but it's been there as well. But no, Ben, that's exactly what they're doing. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL. Thank you, guys.
You got it, Ben. Thanks so much for being a part of the show, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and so AJ Mole actually sent me the heads up on the planned protest tonight, so I appreciate him doing that. And he said, listen, guys, if you want to get out ahead of this, get there early and take up the public speaking thing anyway. First of all, the public speaking aspect of any governmental meeting, a city hall meeting, a county, those actually are important. You would be surprised at how much the elected officials listen to those. I've been elected to office where we had that and we would listen. And sometimes, it's just very mundane. You know, the teacher comes up and says, I want to have my kids, present this for 2 or 3 minutes. And I think we should keep the streams clean, the lakes clean, because it's part of a project, it's part of an assignment. That's fine. That's all well and good. No big deal. And then others will come in, and I was elected at an alderman level, and they were saying, listen, I've got speeders on my street, and this is really frustrating, and I've tried to go through this process. Well, okay, we can do something. We actually act on that.
We want a speed bump.
Right. Other people, or we want a cop run a radar, or, I oppose or I support this application for this permit or whatever, that kind of stuff.
New business coming in. I don't like where it is, or please come,
and it's a good way to look your elected representatives in the eye and say, this is what I think, in a very public way. That was effective back in the Faisal Khan and Sam Page shutdown era.
Oh yeah,
when people showed up and then they started showing up without their masks and everything. So in this case right here, AJ sends that graphic over that he took from one of their, I guess, social media or website pages, and they're planning to try to pack it and monopolize the entire public speaking time. To Ben's point a minute ago, they don't give a crap, what's actually happening in a community or what people actually need.
They don't want to benefit you.
No, they just want to monopolize everything.
Yes.
And so if you've got business, or you've just got something that you think you need to say, or you just want to take up the time, you take up 3 minutes because that's 3 minutes they can't have, then you better get there early and go ahead and do that.
It's actually the tantrum tactic.
Yeah.
That's how protests are these days. It's a tantrum tactic. It's like, if you want to go back to regular life, if you want me to shut up, if you want me to leave you alone to your own devices, you have to give me what I want. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to disrupt your entire life at every turn.
Here's the worst part about all of that is that is a baby step away from the tantrum tactic to the violence tactic.
Yes, tantrum tactic is just prior to terrorism.
Right.
Because,
and you know what the link between the two, what that baby step is? It's the blocking traffic. It's the blocking airports. It's the blocking commerce. It's the I'm going to stand here, and it's what the eco-terrorist people do as well. I mean, so that's the link between the two. So when they're blocking roads, that's, first of all, not peaceful protest. So that's the link. And so what we're seeing is an escalation of these people, and world history tells us how far anti-Semites will go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, blocking traffic, that's, you have trapped me in my car.
Right.
You are forcibly keeping me from moving else. You might as well throw me in a house and keep me in house arrest.
Right.
Because that's basically what you've done. You've eliminated my ability, my freedom of movement. So that it is just shy. It is, like you said, it's just shy of true, violence.
And I think it's typically a step towards it.
It's a step towards it
because it's a physical confrontation.
Yes,
it's a blockade,
and you're asking for a confrontation,
right? And then if but when somebody tries to drive through anyway, then we saw what happened when Antifa was doing it, when Black Lives Matter was doing it. Then that's the excuse that they've got to try to have the explosion of violence, which I think is a lot of what they want. But they want that power and control over people. So, we have to make sure they don't have it. They can't have it. So and tonight, what you're going to have, assuming they show up, they tried to do this before and not many people showed up, but it takes 2 or 3 times and they're going to try to get out there. It's going to be really cold. It's going to be really tempting to say, I'm just going to watch the meeting on TV or on the live stream, YouTube, whatever it is they send them on. And I think they're counting on that as well. So, but worst comes to worst, they get 15 minutes or so to spew their hatred and spew their bigotry. And that's what will happen in your taxpayer-funded chambers.
Yep.
All right, 314-912-1019. All right, we got the information segment here. But Ron DeSantis has already responded to Nikki Haley a few minutes ago.
Yep.
You found that. So, Gabe, I'm going to ask you to read that response because Nikki Haley now is trying to say, I am so big in this race that I don't need to debate the lesser opponent who's actually ahead of me and finished ahead of me and has more delegates than me.
So wild.
Really weird. So we'll do that right around 8:49. here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You want to give someone something which they will really enjoy? Give them a Cafe Napoli gift card. You pick the amount, and they pick which of the Cafe Napolis they want to visit. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Cafe Napoli in Town and Country, Napoli 3 on the streets of St. Charles, or right next door, Napoli C. The Napoli gift card. It's the perfect gift for anyone, or your entire office. Cafe Napoli. Cafe Napoli.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine. Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s new country streaming now.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Just a couple of weeks into the new legislative session, school choice hearings, veterans hearings, stop government overreach, all that stuff. Nick Strower explains Tuesday at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. I'll talk to you tonight at 11. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You know, yesterday was Ben Shapiro's birthday.
Yeah, he just turned 40.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
You've been in your 30s this whole time?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to think of it as a kid, but he's got a little growing a little long in the tooth these days.
Wait a minute, 40 is long in the tooth.
Oh, wait a minute.
Stell, did you hear that?
I just ignored it.
Oh, man.
He's growing. He's growing. He's getting there. I mean, look, I'm older than Ben.
Apparently, I couldn't hear it because of my age, according to Gabe.
I'm still working on getting 29 right.
There you go. Yeah.
Every year I try to get 29 right.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't. The shows here, the different shows here, all of our local shows, we actually don't coordinate with topics and things.
Right.
So I don't know what Vic and Ken are going to talk about here in a little bit.
Not officially.
There is a chance.
It's a possibility.
It's possible.
It's remote
that they're going to talk about Donald Trump winning the Iowa caucuses.
They might touch it.
I mean, I'm not promising.
They might touch it.
Not promising.
Just a little bit.
I'm just saying it could happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Starting at 9:04.
But who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. And what they think of that.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, they may be supportive. I don't know. Who knows?
It's possible.
I'm just saying. Okay, so if you're just joining us, not even an hour ago, Nikki Haley, who is taking this bizarre
stance there
approach to the campaign out of Iowa, where she finished third.
Right.
As in two people ahead of her.
Yes, there are two ahead of her.
Right. And she decided, I'm going to bring up this soundbite again here. And so at her post-caucus rally, I mean, you can't really say it's a victory rally because she came in third place.
Mm-hmm.
This is her new mantra in the campaign heading into New Hampshire and South Carolina.
I can safely say tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
Huh?
No.
What?
No, they didn't. I mean,
and she actually says primary there, so I'd take my comment back that I said earlier. Maybe she's looking towards a presidential time. She said primary.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And so she says, I can say,
I can safely say
it's a 2-person. You finished in 3rd place. If it's a 2-person race, that doesn't include you.
And the thing is, she
But it
really
does.
sold it. She vocally, she sold that as an applause line for the people waiting for her to finish that sentence. You caught that vocal inflection she was using to prompt them.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, here comes. I can safely say that's the okay. Get ready to clap.
Right. Applause,
please.
Oh, and then she goes on social media about an hour ago.
Yes.
And she announces that she will not be participating in the 2 upcoming GOP debates because she's only going to debate Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
Because it's a 2-person primary race, right?
Because that's what she's trying to do is reinforce it's 2-person race. She's not going to bother with anybody else. Well, I think the reality is here, she doesn't want any part of Ron DeSantis right now in those debates at all. And, of course, debating Ron DeSantis again would remind everybody that it is not a 2-person race. And if she actually believes that it is, then she's the only one who believes that after finishing, what was it? Oh, third again. So this is really disingenuous, but hey, it's campaigning. That's just how it goes. But Ron DeSantis now has responded, Gabe.
Yeah, the official Ron DeSantis Twitter account responded with this. Nikki Haley is afraid to debate because she doesn't want to answer the tough questions, such as how she got rich off Boeing after giving them millions in taxpayer handouts as governor of South Carolina. The reality is that she is not running for the nomination. She's running to be Trump's VP. I won't snub New Hampshire voters like both Nikki Haley and Donald Trump and plan to honor my commitments. I look forward to debating 2 empty podiums in the Granite State this week.
I don't think Nikki Haley's running for VP.
She is not.
I don't think that's right.
No.
Everything else, though, I agree with.
It's a pretty solid response by the DeSantis campaign,
especially when he says, "I'm not going to snub the voters the way that they have." That's correct.
And it is a good finishing line. I'm look forward to debating 2 empty podiums. That's a good line.
It is. So will the debates still happen if there's only one person showing up? No. And it was the local PBS station, which has a lot of political influence in New Hampshire. Because remember, New Hampshire is like the size of, Lindenwood University's campus.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically the size of New Hampshire.
Yeah, if you grab all the people, you just kind of shove them in there. Yeah, that's
so one TV or radio station can cover almost the entire state. And they've also got the newspaper up there, which is a big deal still. Not many newspapers are big deals, but that one still is. And so
is that in Montpelier or is it
that's Vermont.
Oh, it's Montpelier, Vermont. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
New Hampshire is
what's New Hampshire?
I can't
Nashua?
remember.
Well, that's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you've got media outlets there that are traditional media outlets that still hold a lot of sway. They're still very important. They're still looked at as news sources of information. And so they're the ones who are scheduling these debates. And so what's happening right now is Donald Trump says, I'm not going to debate anybody. Nikki Haley now says, well, I'm above debating anybody other than these 2 people. I'm picking and choosing and again, I'm just going to say, even though you finished third, so the fact of the matter is Ron DeSantis probably is saying, I'll be there.
Right.
I'll show up. And so he's going to get a call from these media outlets. They're going to say, well, Governor, there's nobody to debate. They can either turn it into a town hall because he was willing to be there, or they can just cancel it. Because if they say, well, we'll just make it a town hall featuring you, then what's going to happen is Trump and Haley are going to go, whoa, we want our town hall too.
Yeah, yep.
And then they would be absolutely justified in saying, hey, we had an invitation out to you. You turned down a debate. Now you want to do the one-on-one. This guy was willing to show up and actually debate the issues. In New England, these debates in these town halls have a different effect than in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
People show up who haven't decided. People show up who support somebody else, but they're willing to hear you out. The hand-to-hand politics, that old school sort of thing, is alive and well in states like New Hampshire. What they call the retail politics, the pressing the flesh. I mean, all of that is very much alive and well in New England in ways that it's not in other parts of the country.
Especially when you've got public radio so dominant in those areas. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, NPR, and all the public radio stations up there are much more dominant than they are here.
Yes, and for good reason. The ones that aren't dominant here, there's a very good reason for that. But with also that, I mean, Nikki Haley being less conservative, being more in the middle, being in that moderate level, she's probably has more to lose in New Hampshire by debating Ron DeSantis and risking getting sliced and diced.
Now, she managed to get the endorsement of Chris Sununu, didn't she?
She did.
Okay, so
Who
that's
is the governor.
That may have some sway. I mean, the population of New Hampshire is just under 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So basically
compare that to the
St. Louis County.
Yeah, the St. Louis County is about 960,000.
Add the city, which is 300.
Yeah,
or so.
So you've got basically St. Louis metro area. If you look at the whole metro, and you've got about 2.3 million people.
Yeah.
So St. Louis metro is bigger in population than New Hampshire.
Yeah, the entire state.
Right.
Whose capital is Concord, by the way?
Concord, that's it.
Yep, that's it. And Manchester is their biggest town with like 115,000. So.
Which is a suburb.
That's a suburban town.
I mean, that's like Blue Springs or Independence.
Seriously,
that's.
Yeah, Concord itself and Dover, which is another one that people know of. Their populations is like 30,000. Crazy. Tiny little towns.
And a lot of folks visiting from Boston.
Yeah, exactly.
They love to go up there.
And the interesting thing is that Chris Christie probably would have done reasonably well
in
New Hampshire, because he knows the area so well, and they know him so well up there. Righty Right says, does Nikki get a participation trophy for her Common Core competence?
She's bad at math, huh?
Oh, man. All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here around 9:04. I have no idea what he's going to talk about. I don't know. We'll see if anything's got him fired up today.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice
for conservative talk.
They always have great conversations.
News, analysis, and opinion.
What these 4 justices have done is to introduce a destabilizing element.
Legal efforts to disqualify the former president are underway in over a dozen other states.
The whole thing's going to wind up in the courts.
Did Joe Biden just create a student debt bomb?
Why should anybody pay their loan off when the son of the president doesn't even pay his taxes?
101.9 and 94.1.
My news station.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that